Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Jaguar. Looking to sell your Jaguar? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hello and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. On the day Celtic kick off their title defence and look to take advantage of Rangers and Hearts drawing yesterday. It was a thriller in the Dundee derby earlier, with both sides playing out a 2-2 draw, while St Mirren and Hibs are currently in action, but no goals in that game yet. I'm Andrew Maclean. Joining me in the studio is Gordon Dalziel, Scott Allan and Hugh Keevins.
This is Glasgow. The rules are quite simple. Rangers dropped 2 points yesterday. Celtic must take advantage today or their supporters will be extremely unhappy. Even though it's game one of a 38 game championship, it's never too early to hit the front, and that's what Celtic are after today, in front of a capacity crowd who will forget about the lack of summer signings and look for the maximum return from those who are there today.
I was starting to worry about the excitement levels of the Scottish Premiership after yesterday's 2-0 draws, but that Dundee derby earlier has really set things off, hasn't it?
It was a slow burner yesterday, you've got to say. Even the Championship, all the way down the leagues, for some reason I think the strikers forgot to put their boots on. But it was all about today. The Dundee derby lived up to expectation. Absolutely brilliant. 2-2, had everything in it. Terrific crowd as well, great atmosphere up there. All eyes just now on Paisley St Mirren, who good start to the season, good victory the other night there against a good Hibs side, and then we're looking forward to 4:30 with Celtic, the champions, starting their campaign.
Yeah, not too much excitement at the moment in Paisley, Scott Allan, but Celtic fans will be looking forward to Flag Day. Always a big one for both the players and the supporters.
Yeah, like you said, a big one for the players and fans. I think Celtic have had a great pre-season. They've been free-flowing in terms of the football they've played. They've scored goals, but the big question is about signings coming in. But I think Brendan Rodgers trusting these players, especially for the domestic stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how they kick off today.
It's good to have league football back. I was enjoying that yesterday, watching the scores come in at 3 o'clock, but there is games all over the place this weekend. There was a championship game on Friday night, there was an early game yesterday, loads of 3 o'clock kickoffs yesterday.
We've even had the first managerial sacking of the season.
We'll get to that as well. One game into the new league season, and we've got a managerial sacking. That's quite something. But yes, we have a game ongoing at the moment, goalless in Paisley, the second half just kicking off, and of course Celtic against Kilmarnock, the big one today. Let's go to Celtic Park. Roger Hannah has the build up and the team news for us.
Yeah, good afternoon, Andrew. And Celtic's quest for 4 in a row starts here. The reigning Premiership champions open their league campaign against Kilmarnock after Lisbon Lion legend Jim Craig, now 81 years young, unfurls the title flag just before kick-off. Brendan Rodgers and his captain Callum McGregor carried the SPFL Premiership trophy up Celtic way ahead of the team bus this afternoon. Rodgers' side, of course, clinched that championship with a stunning 5-0 win at Rugby Park against Killie back in May. That victory included 2 goals from Matt O'Reilly, who remains a Celtic player despite persistent summer interest from the likes of Atalanta, Southampton and now Chelsea. O'Reilly also scored in the opening day of last season, Andrew, when I was here for Super Scoreboard when Celtic beat Ross County 4-2. And for those who say Celtic aren't turning their squad over quickly enough, well, look back 12 months. David Turnbull was in the team, scored twice. Joe Hart started, Leila Bada started, Carl Starfeld and they both came off the bench and were placed in the squad for the likes of Mike Nawrocki and Kwon, obviously not involved today. So fast forward to today, there is a debut for Kasper Schmeichel. He's watched by his dad Peter here in the main stand, and the backup goalkeeper Vojami Sinisalo is on the bench. Paulo Bernardo also on the bench after signing his 5-year contract and a £3.5 million permanent move from Benfica on Thursday night. Celtic a great record on opening weekends, 9 wins from their last 10 opening day fixtures. That single loss coming against Hearts 3 years ago, and Postecoglou's first game at the helm. They've also accrued a very impressive plus 25 goal difference over those games. So let's look at the Celtic players who will try to enhance that record today. It's Kasper Schmeichel, as we say, in goal. A back four, Alistair Johnson back from the Copa America and starts with Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield, McGregor, O'Reilly and Rio Hitate. And up top, Kyogo Furuhashi will be flanked by Nicholas Kuhn and James Forrest. On the bench, Sinisalo, Palma and Yang, Holm, Iwata and Bernardo, Ralston, Welsh and Mikey Johnson. As for Kelly, Derek McKinnon is still wrestling with the disappointment of Thursday night's Europa League exit against Cercle Bruges in Belgium, being outfaced Norwegian side Tromso in the Conference League, with group stage football still very much in their agenda. They beat Rangers on the opening day a year ago when Brad Lyons scored the only goal at Rugby Park, but it looks a big ask to repeat that today. Kilmarnock making 5 changes from the side that lost in Belgium on Thursday. Joe Wright injured, Robbie D suspended, Corey Ndaba not yet deemed match fit. So that means left back Ollie Bainbridge, signed on Friday, a 19-year-old defender from Sunderland, makes an immediate debut. There's also a league debut in goal for Robbie McCrory and possibly off the bench for Bruce Anderson. Liam Polworth, David Watson, who scored a late equaliser here last season, Fraser Murray and Matty Kennedy all come into the starting lineup. So it's McCrory in goal as a back four, David Watson, Lewis Mayo, Stuart Finlay and Ollie Bainbridge. The midfield three, Brad Lyons, Liam Donnelly and Liam Polworth. And up top, Kel Vassell, the captain, will be flanked by Fraser Murray and Matty Kennedy. On the bench, O'Hara, McKenzie and Armstrong, Mackay, Stephen, Cameron and Anderson, Wales, Brannan and young centre-back Ethan Brown. The referee is Don Robertson, the VAR is Greg Aiken. And before I hand back to you, Andrew, it would be remiss not to mention the achievement of James Forrest. As I said, he starts for Celtic today. It is his 16th season in the Hoops first team. More than 100 goals, more than 100 assists. He's in ahead of Palma, Johnson or Yang, who are all on the bench. And to put that longevity into context, his first appearance here was in a Celtic team that included Morten Rasmussen, Edson Braffide and Zheng Zi. He came off the bench with Robbie Keane and left behind an unused substitute by the name of Mark Wilson. And all these years on, he's in the Super Scoreboard bench today, and Scott Allen's picked ahead of him.
Yes, lots to get into with that game, but before that,
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
we have a goal in Paisley. St Mirren 1, Hibs 0, and it's Roland Idowu. It's a really nice goal as well, working his way into the box, firing into the far corner. I thought he looked very tidy on loan from Shrewsbury on Thursday night. He's got his account underway. St Mirren 1-0 up against Hibs. We will keep you up to date. We'll go there at full time to get a report as well to see what's happening there. But yeah, Roger building up to that one nicely. Yep. James Forrest is starting today. We'll start with him because Roger was highlighting him. A player that this time last season and a few months after that you wouldn't have been expecting would be starting a game like this for Brendan Rodgers.
But Roger was quite right to show him maximum respect, because when the Celtic fans look back on James Forrest's career, and many were unhappy about him coming back into the team last season because they felt it was a retrograde step, they will see the trophies that James has accumulated, and they'll see the influence he has had on the club since Neil Lennon gave him his debut, and he is to be acknowledged as one of the very best Celtic players. Having said that, I look at the composition of the starting 11 and the bench, and I realise why the Celtic supporters are making an issue out of the fact that no players are being brought in. Bernardo was there last season. He doesn't count. He was there last season. Schmeichel is an inspired signing, as is Sinisalo, who will be the goalkeeper for years to come. However, the lack of outfield players is staggering, and the bench is comprised of, with respect, players like Yang and Ralston and Welsh and Holm and Mikey Johnson. Celtic need more quality if they are to aspire towards doing anything at all in the Champions League. They will have to get quality in very quickly before this transfer window closes.
Looking at today in isolation, Gordon Dalziel, you look at that starting lineup that Celtic have. That is a side that is proven domestically in Scottish football. Not only can win games, but can win trophies, can win titles. Celtic fans may be worried about what is to come ahead in the transfer window or what has not been done yet, but certainly on paper today that is a side that they'll feel very confident can get the job done.
It's very strong. It's a side that's had a terrific pre-season, according to Brendan Rodgers. I watched little bits of their pre-season games. They look a lot sharper and fitter. I know what Hugh's saying about new players coming in. The plus for Celtic fans is no players really, the top players have went out, i.e. O'Reilly, Hatate, yet may happen, Kyogo for instance. But yes, looking at that on paper, it's very, very strong. I think Celtic will turn the style on today. I think they're ready for this. I think they look very sharp. Kilmarnock have had an extra few games, obviously competitive games with the European situation. It's got to be difficult. Derek will have them very well disciplined. They're good players at Kilmarnock. They really have. They've got a good strong squad. So Celtic will have to be at their best. But at home today with everything in front of them, I think they'll go off to a good start.
I should mention in the game in Paisley at the moment there's a break in play with VAR currently non-operational. We are back. Scottish football is well and truly back. Hopefully that gets resolved quickly. Scott, there is going to be a debut for Kasper Schmeichel. He will be a player that Celtic fans will be really excited to see in the flesh.
Yeah, I think he kind of epitomises what Brendan Rodgers wants from his goalkeepers. They've obviously had a very successful time with Joe Hart, but to then follow that up by bringing someone of Kasper Schmeichel's quality and experience, especially into that group, is an incredible signing for Celtic. I think it's a great piece of business, and from what I've seen pre-season, we touched on it, and it's pre-season, he's looked excellent. So a great piece of business for Celtic.
Could you sense that in the stadium, Roger? Quite often the goalkeepers will come out first. They'll be the first ones on the pitch to go out and train. Was there a big ovation for Kasper Schmeichel?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure who got the bigger ovation, Kasper or Peter, when he came out into the main stand a few minutes afterwards. It's a big game. Hugh said an inspired signing. Not the signing at all I was expecting to come in to replace Joe Hart this summer. He's in on a 1-year deal. He will help develop young Vuljami Sinisalo, who has signed a 5-year deal from Aston Villa, and as Hugh says, is very much viewed as Celtic's long-term number one beyond this season. So listen, he might be 37 years of age, he might have won it all with Leicester City, he might have been to all the big tournaments with Denmark, but as Brendan Rodgers said when he signed him, this Celtic experience will be a whole new experience for Kasper Schmeichel, and he's going to feel some nerves this afternoon too.
We talked about one winger in James Forrest. Nicholas Kuhn is a player that's impressed in pre-season so far. He's the type of player that maybe could be looked at as in that mould of could be almost a new signing. He had his difficulties when he came in January. He had an operation in his teeth. He himself said that he lost quite a bit of weight with that. It meant that he wasn't able to settle in as well as he was. He'll be hoping that he can really kick on this season.
Well, any player will tell you, I think the most important part of the season is pre-season. Get a good pre-season under your belt, make sure you're not injured, get that sharpness, get that fitness, look forward to the first game of the season. Look, the lad showed in patches that he's got very good ability, especially on his left foot. It's a big season for him. I think he will deliver. I look at that Celtic side in the wide areas. They've got bags of pace, bags of experience in James Forrest. You go back to Forrest, a lot of people write you off the minute you get to 30, 31 or whatever. You can't beat experience sometimes, and James Forrest has proved that coming back into a Celtic team. He's a big player, and Kyogo as a centre forward will tell you the one thing he wants to do: hit the ground running, get a goal.
Kick-off is 15 minutes away. We'll bring you more build-up next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just over 10 minutes to go at Celtic Park until Celtic kick off their season against Kilmarnock. We've already had one game today that's full time. Dundee 2, Dundee United 2 in an exciting Dundee derby. It's currently St Mirren 1, Hibs 0 in Paisley, where VAR is non-operational and the game is continuing. So hopefully that's not something we're going to see a lot of this season, Hugh.
Not the only problem that David Gray has, the Hibs manager. You know, it's very early in the season, but as we said earlier, there's already been a managerial sacking after one game. I'm not for one moment suggesting that David Gray's under that kind of pressure, but he could do with a draw or better at Paisley today, because his next two games, League and Cup, are Celtic, home and away, and he already knows that a major investor in the club, the Bournemouth owner Bill Foley, has publicly questioned why he was made manager in the first place.
Roger Hannah is at Celtic Park for us. Roger, at the end of last season, I think if you said to any Celtic fan that come the first league game of the season. Matt O'Reilly would be in the starting lineup. They would be absolutely delighted about it, but I think there will still be a bit of nervousness about his future.
Oh, very much so, Andrew. I think we've still got 26, 27 days of this transfer window to go. There hasn't been a lot of movement. A lot of the big English Premier League clubs, a lot of the bigger clubs in the continent. I think that will all come in the month of August. I would be surprised to see Matt O'Reilly still in a Celtic jersey beyond this transfer window, but you never know. He's not a type to agitate for a move as others have done in the past. Celtic aren't in desperate need of the finance from the transfer, you may have heard, but I would still think there would be an offer would be received for Matt O'Reilly that Celtic would accept, probably something in the region of £25 million or more.
Is it one of those situations, enjoy him while he's here, Gordon, do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I was going to disagree with Roger, but Roger's got a lot more information than I've got, so I'm not going to put myself in that spot. I totally agree. I think you've got to just enjoy him just now. He's had a great pre-season as well. He's come on, he's such a terrific player now. Under Brendan Rodgers, he's improved immensely. He's added goals to his game as well. Listen, it's a compliment for the fact that for Celtic and for a player that there's people out there willing to pay that sort of money.
He's a player as well that in pre-season doesn't look as if it's affected him whatsoever, putting some real good performances.
Yeah, he's been fantastic pre-season. I also think when you have been linked with clubs of their magnitude as well, across the board in Europe, it does make you super confident. So he's been playing well, and it might attract even more interest. So personally, he's looked after himself. He looks like he's happy, and I think I agree with what Gordon says. He's enjoying what we can.
Very, very simple equation. Somebody comes up with 20 to 25 million, they get him. If they don't come up with that kind of money, Brendan Rodgers said it already, don't need to sell him then. So he'll be there until the January transfer window, when the speculation merry-go-round will kick in again. But he's there today, and he'll be a big player for Celtic.
Well, let's hear a bit from Brendan Rodgers ahead of this game.
Always a challenge with Derek's teams. Fantastic coach. To be sat watching Kilmarnock in the European game was, a really testament to the work that he's done and his staff. But also I know that every time we play, we have to be at our very best, and that's what we aim to be at the weekend. So yeah, it's a tough start game for us, but we really have to go and make that first step, make it a good step.
That draw between Hearts and Rangers yesterday, does that add anything extra for Celtic today, being able to go a couple of points ahead already with a win?
Without doubt. I mean, this is the maddest city in the world. This is the city of the bragging rights, and this is the city where that rivalry is extremely intense. Celtic supporters believe that Celtic are in business to dominate Rangers, and vice versa. It's all that matters. Therefore, Rangers have dropped 2 points. There's a great deal of speculation about their summertime signings. They've got Dynamo Kiev to face on Tuesday night in Poland, and all of a sudden Philippe Clement has got early season worries to deal with. Celtic today are looking for a statement victory. They're looking for a convincing victory, full of the kind of dynamic football that they played against Chelsea and Manchester City in the United States, and they're looking to go top of the league. All about statements, optics, bragging rights. If you don't live here, you don't get it.
It's a tough start to the season for Kilmarnock, going straight into European action against a big side like Cercle Bruges, compared, comparatively when you look at budgets and things like that. They're now into the Conference League. Celtic at Celtic Park on the opening day of the season. Is that the type of thing Derek McInnes you think will relish?
Look, it certainly is a tough start, but what it does is it puts you in good stead for the rest of the season. You get, the sharpness, the fitness and everything you're getting out of these games is going to be really valuable going forward for Derek. You look at his squad, he's got a good, healthy squad down there, really good players. There's a mixture, and he can change it. He can change his formation. I think Kilmarnock will have another big season this season. I really do. I think they're good enough. I think the manager knows the game inside out. Look, it's an uphill task today. I don't fancy them to get anything today, but I think what he will get out of this is probably a lot more sharpness and fitness, because I think they'll be chasing the ball.
Danny Armstrong has been Kilmarnock's biggest threat, really, for the last wee while. What do you read into the fact that he's on the bench?
Well, for such a big game, it is an interesting one, and I think he has been a player who's attracted a lot of speculation. He's, especially against Celtic, he's influenced these games quite a lot in the last few seasons. So is it one where Derek's maybe thinking about bringing him on as the later stages, keeping the game tight? I don't know. Or is there maybe a bit of interest there for a club? You just don't know.
Well, the Kilmarnock players are heading out the tunnel at the moment. They'll give Celtic a guard of honour. Of course, on Flag Day, we will head back to Celtic Park next.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Minutes away from kick-off between Celtic and Kilmarnock at Celtic Park, and the flag presentation is well underway. Roger Hannah.
Yeah, there's been a guard of honour from Kilmarnock players. Kyle Vassell, the captain, led them out. They formed the guard of honour. The Celtic players, led by Callum McGregor, the captain, came out to the podium just in front of the centre circle. The pitch surrounded by green and white banners. Fly the flag, we've won the league, the banners proclaim. An enormous tifo on all sides of Celtic Park, flames soaring high into the sky as the guest of honour, the club ambassador, the Lisbon Lion Jim Craig, accompanied by his wife Elizabeth, come out to unfurl the title flag. Neil Doncaster, the SPFL chief executive, leading the official party from Hampden out here. Brendan Rodgers, Callum McGregor out. Kasper Schmeichel coming out behind Callum McGregor. Celtic's players just now breaking away from the rest of the pack. The trophy is just being lifted away. They're now endeavouring to get this podium away. They're endeavouring to get this enormous banner that covered 3 sides of Celtic Park right round the pitch, Andrew. They're trying to get it away. You'll be lucky if you can see kick-off of the smoke inside Celtic Park at the moment after all those flames and the celebrations. Callum McGregor now with Kyle Vassell at the centre circle. Referee Don Robertson with them there. Schmeichel, he's broken away. He's going to get into the Celtic huddle for the first time in his Premiership, his competitive Celtic career. This is where Celtic begin the quest for 4 in a row. 3 titles, 2 under Ange Postecoglou, 1 of course under Brendan Rodgers when he came back last season. It was sealed back in May with an impressive 5-0 win over Killie at Rugby Park. They'll start all over again today. It is a similar team with the exception of Schmeichel. No debutants in this Celtic side. It's a back 4 in front of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. The midfield, the captain Callum McGregor with Matt O'Reilly and Rio Hitsati, and up top James Forrest, Kyogo Furuhashi and Nicholas Kuhn. On the bench, Siri Salo, Palma and Yang, Holm, Iwata and Bernardo, Ralston, Welsh and Mikey Johnson. There's 5 changes for Killie from the side that lost in Belgium on Thursday night. In come David Watson, among others. He will play in the unfamiliar role of right back because of defensive injury and suspension blows. It's McCrory in goal. A back 4, Watson, Mayo, Finlay and Bainbridge. Midfield, Lyons, Donnelly and Polworth. Up top, Murray, Vassell and Kennedy. The referee, as we say, Don Robertson. The VAR is Greg Aiken. And if I can see through this haze of smoke, Andrew, we're just about underway at Celtic Park.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
Yes, Celtic and Kilmarnock getting their league campaigns underway at Celtic Park. Those are the types of moments that the supporters will love, and for players like Kasper Schmeichel, who haven't experienced that before at Celtic, it's the type of thing that they'll want to make sure they can go and try and achieve again this season.
You can't put the Celtic supporters through what Celtic put the Celtic supporters through last season and not give them the showbiz start to the game. But now it's about serious work. Now it's about 4 in a row for Celtic, and that's what the supporters crave. Derek McInnes' problems, they're summed up for me in one player on that park. Ollie Bainbridge, signed this week from Sunderland. Ollie Bainbridge, at 19, has never, ever played a first team game of football.
Come on, Hugh. And prediction?
3-1 Celtic.
Has he stolen your prediction?
No. Go on, I will let you go second.
I'm going to go 4-0 Celtic.
Well, we weren't thinking it was Kilmarnock there, so we're quite okay with that. I'm going to go 2-0 Celtic.
But you were going to go 3-1 Celtic.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
I'm not going the same as Shug. No time.
3-1, 4-0, 2-0 are the predictions. And here, 1 minute 20 on the clock. Kilmarnock have tried to launch the ball into the Celtic box a couple of times. There was a long throw from David Watson, but the game yet to settle really in the early 90 seconds or so.
I suppose, Scott, I mean, for players, I said it's essential for the fans. Give them their reward for what they were put through last season. But for players, they could really do without all the ceremonials, couldn't they?
Yeah, I think once you see the fixtures come out, you're just looking forward to get back on the pitch again and getting your competitive season underway again. This is Celtic's bread and butter. They'll be looking to start this well. Players are wanting to get goals on the board, assists, all that type of things. So, like I said, the trophy shown and all that is for the fans, but the players, they want to do the real business, and that's on the pitch. What
can that do for a player on the opening day if you just put in a particularly good performance, get that goal, get that assist on day one?
It's huge. That's everyone wants to hit the ground running. I think especially your strikers want to get on that goal sheet very, very early on in the season, and it allows them to go into next week with a bit of pressure off, especially new signings. I know looking at a Celtic team with only Casper Michael in terms of that, but your Kyogos and that, they'll be looking to get goals early doors.
100%. It was one thing I used to worry about every start of the season. I was get my first goal, and that gives you so much confidence. I remember going 30 minutes without one. But you're right, it doesn't matter what you did last year, it's all about this year. And if you're a goal scorer and you've had a terrific season scoring goals, you want to get off to an early start.
3 minutes on the clock at Celtic Park between Celtic and Kilmarnock. Goalless. It is 1-0 still to St Mirren in that game between St Mirren and Hibs and Paisley. That was a 3 o'clock kick-off and a really good game earlier on, wasn't it, between Dundee United and Dundee.
Good to have that derby back. And Simon Murray, as I thought he might, played an important part. He won the penalty that made it 2-2. I thought Dundee would snatch it in the end, but the way in which Jim Goodwin, the United manager, and Tony Docherty, the Dundee manager, embraced at the end, I think they were extremely happy to have that share of the points.
I thought the officials were brilliant. I know they don't get a lot of pats in the back, they get a lot of criticism. I thought they were brilliant. There were a couple of big decisions. Obviously the penalty one, I think he got that spot on. I thought it was a great game. I thought it had everything, 4 goals as well, great entertainment. If I was Dundee, I'd be a little bit disappointed that Curtis Main doesn't win the derby for you. I think that is a sitter.
It's a great game to have just on the opening weekend of the season, isn't it? A derby.
Yeah, I think the people of Dundee, they long for that game. I've played in that game a few times and been in the winning team in the process. So it's a great game to play, and I think kicking off the season that as well. Back to talking about people trying to pick up form early doors, games like that, they kind of speak for themselves. So they get you off to a flyer, they get you fit, they get you. There's no blood loss. So I think it was a perfect day, perfect opening day for Dundee United and Dundee.
Here's a really, really useless piece of information for you.
Well, keep it to yourself.
I get married on the day that Rangers and Celtic played first game of the season, Old Firm derby at Ibrox.
What year was that again?
1971.
Is that the only time it's happened?
Well, I can't remember another one, but August 14, 1971, opening day of the season, Rangers against Celtic at Ibrox.
Do you know, I get married 3 times, never on a Saturday.
Right?
No, just wasn't my bag. I used to go out on a Saturday
work
night,
your marriages around your football.
Yeah, I used to go out on a Saturday night, so I didn't fancy getting married on a Saturday.
For you.
You get married in the morning, of course, in case it didn't work out. Then you get the rest of the day yourself.
By the way, usually split up by the afternoon.
5.5 minutes on the clock at Celtic Park. Both teams maybe just feeling their way into it. Kilmarnock, of course, have had some competitive action so far this season. A nice passing at the edge of the box from Celtic, but a strong tackle to win it back for Kilmarnock. Brad Lyons, who I think is playing right back in this game, not a usual position for him, normally a central midfielder, but it looks as if he's slotting in there today.
You can see the tactics that Derek's decided to go with. The minute they lose the ball, get everybody behind the ball, make it difficult. You look at where Scales is, he's right up the pitch now. Most of the Celtic players are within 40 yards of the 18-yard box, just passing it about. There's a lot of bodies there. They've got to be patient. Great play with Kuhn.
Yeah, Kuhn cuts the ball back into the box, but it evades everyone and end up cleared by a Kilmarnock player. We do have one of these in Paisley.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 2, Hibs 0. Shane Smith with the goal for St Mirren on his first league appearance, and it looks as if the 3 points will be staying with Stephen Robinson's side.
Yeah, so straight away David Gray has it all to do. He's got Celtic home and away, League and League Cup, or Premier Sports Cup. So it's a tough old start for him, and he really needs players up front. They lack bite. In fact, I'm standing beside a man who played against Hibs for Kelty Hearts and beat them in the Premier Sports Cup.
Yeah, listen, David Gray's made no secrets the fact he wants to add firepower into that Hibs side, but like a lot of clubs, they need to get rid of a lot of players first, as they've got a big wage bill, Hibs. But
excuse my ignorance, is that who you're with now, Scott? Sorry. Aye. All right, okay.
I'm glad you've done your research. That's nice.
No, I didn't know.
Ball into the box for Celtic. That's cleared out for, I think it's going to be a throw-in on the far side.
Great wee club, Kelty. I'll tell you what, the hospitality is second to none. I love that wee hut in
there.
there.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, the mince and tatties, brilliant. Good wee
Tell
club.
you what, it's get even worse for Hibs.
Oh dear.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Shane Smith has scored again, 2 in the space of about 2 minutes for Shane Smith. It's St Mirren 3, Hibs 0. Not a good start to the season for Hibs that we were just talking about, but for St Mirren, fantastic start to the season for them.
They've been terrific, haven't they, Hugh? You've got to say. I know that. Look, they went away from home 0-0. They were expected to win on Thursday night. They're playing a part-time team. You know what I love about St Mirren just now? I love the fact that it's a club, the community. You've seen the support that was there. Were you at the game?
Yeah, I was at the game. Yep.
You know, it was packed out. They marched down to the stadium. They're right behind the club. The club are delivering. They're in a good place. They've got a good squad, a good manager. And do you know what? We all mocked Tony Fitzpatrick a long time ago, a St Mirren legend, and I've never seen a man so prouder the other night there watching his team.
Well, it's 7 goals in 4 days. 4 against Valour, 3 so far against Hibs. Kilmarnock their first look at goal though.
Yeah, a curling effort goes way over the bar from Matty Kennedy.
I think going back to Hibs, we're talking about adding firepower.
Yeah.
Hibs have added defenders. That was something they had to strengthen last year. And opening day of the season, 3 goals conceded.
Yeah. You know, it is ridiculously early, but with all the Bill Foley business in the background, you know, David Gray and Malky Mackay, their appointments both criticised by the major investor. So that's just not the way you want the season to look.
That can only go one way. Let me tell you, my experience in management and working with boards, when that happens, that is only going to go one way. And I feel sorry for David Gray. He's been put in the position, first opportunity, a Hibs legend. He's worked his way through the ranks. You know, he's been a coach, he's worked with the first team, he's now been given that opportunity. And when someone comes in and they're sitting above you in the board, and that's come out with that statement, there's only one outcome, and it'll come sooner or later.
Talk about it being early. We've already had our first managerial dismissal of the season, the day after their first league game of the season, and Ian Murray has been sacked by Wraith Rovers already. It's not as if they had a poor Premier Sports Cup group stage, because they finished second in their group. Of course, finished second in the Championship last season. We're in the promotion playoffs. A 1-0 defeat to Airdrie yesterday, but the Wraith board have seen enough.
And the club statement doesn't make sense to me. They say that results and performances over the last 6 months haven't been to their liking. Well, they got to the playoff final and they finished second in the league, so that's happened within the last 6 months. But for me, cynical old guy, there's something behind the scenes that we don't know.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I would find it astonishing. And I was up there for the playoff against Partick Thistle. Terrific crowd.
Must have been a free ticket.
Hold on a minute. the biggest legend in Wraith Rovers history, a free ticket.
And you're making sure everyone knew you were there as well.
I was carried in, let me tell you. Okay, I was carried out maybe. But and they looked very good. Unfortunately, Ross County was just a hurdle they couldn't go over. Ross County were too strong. But I find that astonishing from football clubs. I really do.
It shows you how this game is going at Celtic Park. 11 minutes gone. A graphic showing up there. Celtic 107, was it? Successful passes to Kilmarnock's 6. Celtic dominant on the ball, just haven't been able to create anything so far.
No, the Kilmarnock goal remains untroubled. There's been nothing for them to do, although Hatate's on the edge of the box now, and O'Reilly, but out by kick. It's going to be a long afternoon for Celtic. They're going to have to show some guile. Even young Bainbridge, the 19-year-old who's never played a first team game before, has settled in comfortably at the back for Kilmarnock, and Derek McInnes is just a guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he's had results against Celtic before. He's had results against Celtic before here as well. Kilmarnock are always very organised. They're always hard to break down. They do have a threat at the other end as well.
Yeah, but they need to get the ball up the pitch.
It's a longer day for the team that doesn't have the ball, isn't it?
Exactly, we've been there. I think the word that Hugh's looking for Celtic will be patience this afternoon. I think they've just got to be patient. If they keep moving Kilmarnock about, eventually, that one quality pass, and let's face it, the middle of part Celtic have got that in abundance. They can open you up just with one pass, Kyogo on the shoulder, or Kuhn or Forrest making a terrific run. Kilmarnock need to concentrate. Obviously Derek's went there with a game plan. I don't blame him. They call it parking the bus. I don't blame him, because Celtic are better players, but I think it's just going to be a patient day for Celtic.
Patient is not a word in my vocabulary.
Not having that, Hugh.
I'd have made 2 substitutions by now.
Oh, you'd have had people off.
Yeah.
Well, Celtic with maybe a chance to go into the box there. There was Fraser Murray did fly into a challenge on Liam Scales after he'd played the ball on the halfway line. Will be brought back for a free kick to Celtic. Just a bit over eager there, I think, from Fraser Murray.
Well, Kilmarnock, they are enjoying the start of the season, even though they went out to Cercle Bruges midweek and have dropped into the Conference League. They're not feeling sorry for themselves. They've had 2 games in Europe. They're away at Celtic today. They're at Tromsø in the Arctic Circle. That's their next European assignment. But Derek McInnes is taking the attitude that, well, we worked for this, so let's get in about it and enjoy it. And that's what they're doing at Celtic Park.
Yeah, Liam Scales advancing, playing the ball into the box. It's cut back, and Kilmarnock get their boot on it first. I think they've won a free kick in their own box as well. A sliding challenge from Rio Hatate on Liam Donnelly.
Yeah, it's good play. Everything Celtic are doing at the moment seems to be down the left hand side. They're trying to get Taylor and Forrest and Hatate going and joining up. It was a good run from Kyogo, but because of the angle and the pace of the ball, I don't think he's ever got to trouble the goalkeeper. 15 minutes on the clock. Derek will be quite happy. I think Brendan Rodgers will be happy in the fact that they're knocking the ball about. They'll get all the possession in the world. Celtic's goalkeepers hardly had a touch of the ball. So still very early in this game.
Schmeichel's had one kick. His hands haven't touched the ball yet, but he's had one kick, but it was a very good kick.
Yeah, Robbie McCrory yet to make a save, but these are the types of occasions that he'll have left Rangers for, to get into a starting lineup somewhere to show what he can do, because he's now, I think, 26 years old.
Yeah, 26, you need to be playing first team football. Kilmarnock gives him a great platform to go and do that, especially big occasions like today. I think in terms of Derek McInnes' teams, and we've obviously watched him at Aberdeen and now Kilmarnock, he likes his teams to be comfortable without having the ball, and Kilmarnock have been very successful at that, especially last season. And obviously in Europe they did make a good account of themselves, but they actually look super comfy even without the ball here.
Fans tend to take a dim view. Old Firm fans take a dim view of clubs who come in.
Kyogo, a brilliant turn into the box, tries to dink the ball over Robbie McCrory, who gets a vital touch on it, and then it's cleared away, not quite on the line, but maybe about 4 or 5 yards shy of it. But really sharp from Kyogo on the turn initially, but Robbie McCrory came rushing out just to stop his effort.
He really looks sharp in America, and he already looks a better player than he was last season, where he was kind of in and out. But the point I was going to make is that Old Firm fans take a dim view of clubs coming with the 2 banks of defenders, etc., 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 as if that's no fair. But it's entirely fair. Derek McInnes hasn't come to entertain the Celtic fans. He's come to do what's best for Kilmarnock, and it takes moments of inspiration like Kyogo there to unsettle Kilmarnock, but he's very, very close, Kyogo.
Yeah, he's very unlucky. Terrific play, terrific turn. Celtic are just knocking out the door.
Another chance for Celtic here, and we have a goal at Celtic Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
The ball coming to Rio Hatate at the edge of the box. One touch and then firing low into the bottom corner past Robbie McCrory. Celtic are up and running for the season with less than 17 minutes on the clock.
And doesn't Hatate look pleased with himself? As well he might. As I said, it takes moments of inspiration and quality, and Hatate showed that in abundance there. And for all Derek McInnes' planning, what can you do when you've got a guy of that quality?
The only thing I will say, I think Derek will be a bit disappointed. They take a touch in the box and they get robbed. They get their pocket picked. Comes to Hatate. The minute he takes that touch, look, they get their pocket picked. Taylor, I think it is, plays it to Hatate. One touch, bang, finish, and it's in the back of the net. That's the quality that Celtic possess.
Yeah, Brad Lyons it was that just maybe took a bit too much time in his own box on the ball. He was robbed of it. It sort of bounced around. The pass from Greg Taylor to Rio Hatate, it wasn't quite right in the corner. Maybe Robbie McCrory could have done better, but there was a couple of players sliding in that had blocked his view possibly as well.
Yeah, he gets his shot away early. I think the reason why Celtic win the ball back so high there is that they've run Kilmarnock's box. They've got players around the ball so they can counter press when they give the ball away, and that's what you see there. Brad Lyons looks startled when the ball comes back to him, can't clear it, and Celtic pounce on it.
He's not a natural right back, Brad Lyons. Is that something that could come into play there? Is that a position that he's maybe not used to being in, or is that just something that should be dealt with by any player?
No, I think in that position, you're going to get pressed, especially if you're in your own box. So you've got to move that ball quickly. That's the difference between the two sides. You know what I mean? When you play at a higher level, and Scott will tell you, the sharpness of players closing you down and playing balls 1-2 round about you is completely different of playing maybe Kilmarnock against Motherwell, etc. You're playing against top international players here, and if you sort of take your time on the ball, you'll get your pocket picked, and that's what happened. They get punished.
Those will be real positive signs for Celtic. We saw it with Kyogo a few moments earlier, how sharp he looked around the box. Rio Hatate as well. It's convincing signs early on in the final third. Brendan
Rodgers said himself that it was one of the best pre-seasons at any club he was involved with that he could remember. We all understand that Manchester City and Chelsea weren't playing their full 11, but they were playing enough high quality players like Erling Haaland for the Celtic fans to be delighted with what went on in the USA. So they're trying to show that the manager was correct, that they have begun the season as they mean to go on.
Yeah, there's some more nice passing at the edge of the box from Celtic there. Matt O'Reilly playing it to Rio Hatate, but it was a sliding challenge to block his shot from around 20 to 25 yards. Kilmarnock now venturing forward, just Fraser Murray trying to get past James Forrest. Floats a nice ball into the box.
Great play.
Alistair Johnson just did enough at the back post to put his man off.
It's a free kick. He's been fouled as well, but terrific play on the right hand side. We're seeing this Kyogo chance again. He just comes off a defender, he waits for him coming, and he just slips him brilliantly. McCrory does particularly well there, because that was a great opportunity. And then the goal, as I say, if you labour on the ball in the box, the players are too sharp and they get punished for it.
That'll be frustrating for Derek McInnes, because you won't want to be making those mistakes. It's a chance again for Celtic. This time Kyogo with the effort, saved by Robbie McCrory out for a corner.
Well, Kyogo was on fire, but the lead-up work to get the ball to him was spectacular. And Celtic are beginning to turn the screw here.
Yeah, take the corner quickly, trying to work it into the box. Greg Taylor, it's cut back to the edge of the box. Celtic relentless at the moment. Long range effort from Rio Hatate, goes high and wide.
Ambitious, I would have said, Scott.
Yeah, you'd have scored that, mate, would you not? You'd have bullet.
I'd have tried to pass it. I think even though Kilmarnock are playing behind the ball, Celtic are still managing to find the acute passes in between the movement. Check the Kyogo. 1 minute he's on the striker, he's off. It's played in at a good speed for the guy to get the next pass. That's So as deep as Kilmarnock are playing, it's not affecting how Celtic are really building the attack now.
A little bit of TV save, I've got to say. I'd have stuck my bunnet in that one. I think goalkeepers get carried away sometimes. It was a great move, and Scott's right. See the sharpness round about the box, the 1-2s, the movement. It's at 2 or 3 yards, but they're so quick at it, and they deliver the ball quickly as well. Celtic, yeah, I've got to say, do look sharp the opening 20 minutes.
When Brendan Rodgers first came back to Celtic, there was, probably mainly in the first half of last season, there was a bit of a criticism from Celtic fans that they didn't move the ball quickly enough, they didn't look as dynamic as they did under Brendan Rodgers, but they certainly look really at it today. They obviously picked up towards the end of last season, got some really good results, won 2 trophies, but
how
they look sharp today.
How irritated was Brendan Rodgers last season by those accusations that basically this isn't Ange ball and you've changed everything? And he was outraged by that, and he even held a demonstration at Lennoxtown one day for the press corps to show that he hadn't changed anything radically.
Their football was poor last year in that sense, Hugh, but and Celtic fans did come on this show and complain about the way Celtic were going about their business. I see a difference in the Celtic team already. I watched some pre-season, as I say, highlights. I don't get carried away with pre-season games, but even today in the first 20 odd minutes, they certainly moving the ball a lot quicker.
Well, they had moments of brilliance last season, and then they had moments when, for example, when Kilmarnock came to Celtic Park and David Watson scored and time added on, and the Celtic fans booed them off the park. It was a peculiar season for Celtic, ending at Rugby Park in an outstanding display, 5-0, and that was the title one. So Brendan Rodgers wants to avoid that style of season where you're up 1 minute, down the next, and he's determined to come out the traps flying, and he's 1 up, quarter of the game gone. Every Celtic fan on the ground knows that they want a victory. They want to be 2 points ahead of Rangers after 1 game. Simple as that.
Is that sometimes something that can get lost with supporters, that it will get to a transfer window, it will get to the summer and everyone's wanting new names, they want new players on the pitch, but it gives the manager an opportunity to get the players on the pitch for a good few weeks to work on new things, and that's exactly what Brendan Rodgers will have been doing, because he had that summer last year, but it would have been tougher with his first coming back in. But certainly looks as if he's really changed a few things maybe this summer.
Yeah, he has changed it, and he knows the players he's working with now. I know there's not been much disruption to Celtic's pre-season, even in terms of injuries. Some clubs have struggled with injuries and are hoping to get guys back for maybe the first game or the European run. Celtic look like they've been working on something. I think all the passing's been played with a purpose. God will tell you, you can play in these games and you're just moving it for the sake of moving it. Celtic are still trying to hurt them, being patient, probing, wee bounce passes, getting the ball out wide. This is going to be a long day for Kilmarnock if it continues like that.
We're a concern for Celtic, sorry Hugh, as
another chance for Celtic. It's played across the box, Kyogo trying to stab it with the outside of his boot, but it's a good sliding challenge to block. Yeah,
we're a concern for Celtic fans is in the transfer. Kyogo's probably the only recognised centre forward just now.
He is.
You know, so they've got to be careful. I know that Celtic will behind the scenes working very hard to get players in, and I'm sure players will come through the door, that there's no doubt, but that's just a concern.
Well, ideally they would have had Adam Ida through the door by this point, which just proved to be a bit more complicated. Does that look as if it's just a matter of time given what's playing out at Norwich at the moment?
If it's a matter of time, it's been some length of time.
Here's a chance for Kilmarnock. It was hit first time. Not a terrible effort from Matthew Kennedy, just maybe didn't catch it as clean as he would have liked, but it was a tough one to take. A good cross by Kyle Vassell just to find him at the back post, but hit it into the ground and into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel.
Scott Allan and I stood here, cup final day, 25th of May, when Adam Ida scored the goal that won the cup. Now, I'll bet that Scott would not have imagined that 11 weeks later,
he's still working with you.
11 weeks later, Adam Ida has still not been signed. How complicated can it be?
And on top of that, well, there's only one addition to that squad that's playing today is Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah,
I think the Ida situation will be resolved soon. There you go. Take it from me, the insider, they call me.
Is that you got your sources down at Norwich?
Yeah, I've got good sources all around the country, let me tell you. And I'm very confident that Brendan will have a few players in.
You'll find out, Scott, in the fullness of time that he wouldn't know the truth if he met it now.
I do tend to exaggerate, Scott. I've got to say that.
But anyway, the well done to Matty Kennedy. Casper Schmeichel dealt with it quite quickly, efficiently. But it was a lull in the Celtic pressure that's been ongoing since the first whistle. 25 minutes in, and they're a goal up and looking for more. Kilmarnock hanging in.
Matt O'Reilly just with a shot a few moments ago, didn't quite catch it as he would have liked as well, cut back onto his left foot, but just bounced into the arms of Robbie McCrory.
Yeah, it was a good move once again. They're just probing about that defence of Kilmarnock, moving the defenders about. Comes to Riley on his favourite left foot. Probably should have done a little bit better, but once again, good move. But look, that was good signs for Kilmarnock there. When do you see Carter Vickers getting out muscled in games? Fussell does brilliant in the left hand side. Kennedy a wee bit unlucky. Sometimes you can just catch him lovely and give the goalkeeper no chance. But a wee warning to Celtic, they'll be looking for a second goal.
Kyogo looking for Nicholas Kuhn over the top, but Oliver Bainbridge putting that one out for a throw. We are in the 10th minute of added time in Paisley. Of course, there was that stoppage because VAR became non-operational. I think it was then part operational for a bit after that when they got going again. But that will be a big win for St Mirren.
Well, you don't need VAR to tell you how bad a result it is for Hibs. So a lot of work for David Gray. Signings required. Celtic next at Easter Road in the league, then Celtic at Celtic Park in the League Cup. He's got a tough old job right now.
Funny how quickly things can switch as well, because they'd scored 10 goals in their first two League Cup group stage games, and I think there was quite a bit of positivity from supporters around what could happen this season, but it can quickly turn.
The one thing that the Hibs fans will do, and Scott's been at the club, and they'll certainly give David Gray a bit of time. Look, he deserves it as well, because he's a absolute hero there, and he's worked his way up, as I say, and you just don't judge somebody in the first couple of games. Give him some opportunities. But when there's rumblings above, it's very unsettling for managers and coaches.
What did Sean Maloney get? 6 or 7 games? Didn't get long.
It was more than that, I think,
as
but
a club,
still
though,
wasn't
they can't
long.
keep going through managers like this. They can't.
I mean, that is what John Bennett at Rangers has said. They're not going to rinse and repeat. They're not going to rip everything up come October.
Yeah, but
Philip Clement given a new contract, or extended contract this week.
To be fair, I read that last night in the 5-3 press from Raith Rovers director.
But that's all very well. You know, John Bennett has put a lot of money into Rangers, worked very hard on Rangers' behalf. But if Philippe Clement doesn't win the league, there'll be fans who don't want him there as manager next season. Simple as that.
Celtic into the box again, looking to cause problems. The cross from Greg Taylor is blocked by Liam Donnelly, out for a throw.
It's back to the wall for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, Kilmarnock finding this tough, aren't they?
Yeah, it's got to be a long afternoon for our players, especially if they can't get up the pitch. They need a bit of a respite, and the back here, the midfields are getting dragged all over the place. Defenders are getting brought in short, and Kyogo try to spin. He's always on the shoulder, makes some terrific runs, I've got to say. Hatate, they've got such clever players in the middle of the park.
There was stick with this at the moment because Celtic are into the box, passing quickly. Matt O'Reilly trying to fashion a shooting opportunity. It loops into the air. Kyogo trying to turn his man. Eventually Kilmarnock will clear. There was Greg Taylor's cross into the box a few moments ago that Liam Donnelly sort of turned on. It looked as if it came off his arm. The type of thing that last season there might have been a bit of fanfare about. Yeah. I think everyone in Scottish football is hoping that the decisions around handball, is there a stoppage in play going on at the moment for something? I was just about to say there was nothing made of it at the time, and that the hope is there's not going to be stoppages and penalties given for silly handballs. No, I think there's just something on the pitch that Rio Hatate is getting rid of.
Tifo displays and 60,000 people is that the Tifo display ends up on the park instead of off the park. But you're quite right to highlight that, Andrew, because yesterday Conor Barron, last season what Conor Barron did yesterday would have been deemed a penalty kick. Willie Collum has now said no, that was last season. There's a football expectation now that people who understand the game know that it wasn't a penalty kick. and that's what we're going to have to get used to. Willie Collum has basically said all the handball decisions last season were wrongly given.
We mentioned yesterday, Hugh, that the most important thing was consistency.
Yeah.
Now, I witnessed one in the Dundee derby today, and to be fair to the referee, I've got to be honest, I looked at it and I thought, ooh, that could be a penalty kick. I don't know if I was in the mindset of last season, Andrew, like everybody else was, but the referee decided not to. I think that's refreshing for our game. I really do, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah, that Liam Donnelly one, I think under any circumstances wouldn't have been a penalty. His arm was tucked into his body, it sort of came off his elbow. But the thing is, we did see them given last season at times, but there was nothing made of it. Play went on, and I think that's exactly what everyone is looking for this season, that consistency across the board, especially with the Conor Barron one yesterday. I think people will be happy if that's not a penalty, but so long as that is applied consistently across the board.
The problem is that fans are now conditioned. They'd be looking at the television screen yesterday saying that's a penalty, and you have to say, well, no, actually they've changed their mind on this now. So you have to
Stephen Naismith helped as well coming out after
it. Absolutely.
That was big.
You have to, those who have been conditioned that have to be unconditioned.
Well, that's a really nice turn and pass from David Watson, who was one of the young stars of last season, of course, was nominated, won the PFA Young Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Didn't he? And the Football Writers Young Player of the Year as well.
Yes, and you can always trust a football writer.
Did you get a vote in that, Hugh?
Yeah.
Still
I voted for you.
Thank you, Hugh. I've won that a few times. I don't want any of that. I've no room in the house now.
He'll be hoping to kick on again this season after an impressive year last year.
Yeah, of course.
David Watson, not Gordon DL.
No. You know, the country, more than 50% of the players in the country are foreign, and you're always looking to have some injection of Scottish players at whatever club. So he's one of them, and you're looking for more all the time.
Terrific talent, isn't he? I like the boy. He burst onto the scene with his goal at Pittodrie, Aberdeen. Remember that one? Brilliant.
Scored at Celtic Park last season, of course.
Yeah. I just think he's getting better and better every time I see him. I think this is a big season for him. I think we've got good talent. You look at Lennon Miller at Motherwell as well. Young player that's got to have a fantastic future. So I totally agree with you. The more we can get in our game, the better.
Matt O'Reilly whipping a vicious looking cross into the box, but it would have been too high for anyone over the head of Robbie McCrory, and Oliver Bainbridge just lets it run out for a throw.
You've got to pay tribute to O'Reilly. You know, given the speculation this morning, it was Chelsea said to be interested in him, but with all the Atalanta, last season it was Atletico Madrid, but he's out in the park there giving his all for Celtic.
It's the one club I wouldn't go to, is Chelsea.
No,
I'll get me 400 players in it. Unless he gave me my money up front. If they paid me up front, I'm down at Stamford Bridge sitting in the stand, not giving a jot.
It is something I wonder, see, for a generation of fan that isn't on social media, and you maybe don't keep up to date with what news site, a chance for Celtic here, it's into the box. Robbie McCrory makes a big save, and the rebound effort from Nicholas Kuhn comes off the top of the bar.
Great save, McCrory. That really ought to have been 2-0.
Forrest down this left hand side, he's having so much joy. Kyogo with that terrific run again, double save. Has he got to do better, would you think?
Yeah,
I think he's got to score with the rebound.
I think he should score that, but I think it comes for the James Forrest route, and Celtic just constantly playing down that side and getting joy from it. To me it looks like a matter of time before Celtic get a second.
Yeah, Matt O'Reilly stepping up to take this corner, got plenty of assists for Celtic last season. It's a good delivery, headed clear by Kilmarnock, and then Fraser Murray is only able to slice it towards Matt O'Reilly. Celtic can continue to put the pressure on and win another throw. Yeah, I was saying about Chelsea, there'll be a generation of fan that's not on social media that will turn up on the first day of the season and think, who is every single player in this starting lineup? If you're having that turnover, every single season, there must be some people that just don't have a clue who on earth are turning up to go and watch.
Even I can't even remember the manager's name, never mind the players.
Enzo Maresca. Remember, he was linked with Celtic at one point before Brendan Rodgers came in.
They're unbelievable club. You'd only go there for the money. That's the only reason.
In London.
Yeah, and London. Yeah. A couple of nice wee nightclubs there. But there's got so many. There's so many players out on loan as well, and they're just. I don't know about Chelsea.
I thought you were going to say London, the British Museum, the Victoria and Albert Gallery.
Nightclubs only for me, or a beer garden or whatever.
Culture's wasted on you, really.
I'm a bit. A culture's totally wasted in me. You could knock it all down, I wouldn't care. I'm not really into it.
What a sentiment that is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't sightsee. Do you sightsee, Scott? I don't see the point in it.
What a vague question that is as well.
I just want to see if there's anybody in the same sort of a boat as me in that sense.
The worst chat up line ever.
Don't see the
Sightsee
sense
much?
But yeah, let's go and see a tour. Each piece.
Our culture correspondent Gordon Dalziel there.
The tourist board have offered me a new contract.
Gordon Dalziel was heard to say, "Where's Wunderbar?"
Oh, now that's sightseeing.
Yeah, you do see some sights. There is going to be a free kick deep for Kilmarnock. It's going to be Matty Kennedy to take Celtic with a high line, just trying to push the Kilmarnock line up as far as possible. Goes over the top, and that is going to go straight into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel, who's barely had a thing to do so far.
Derek McInnes will be fuming with that. Get yourself up the park, get yourself into a nice position, at least put it in there and let your defenders or your centre forward go and challenge for it. But too easy, and it lets Celtic right back at them.
It's just the type of situation you need to make the most of when you go to Celtic Park as a team like Kilmarnock. Is set pieces as Celtic get into the box. Robbie McCrory looked as if he was going to take the ball, but was headed away by one of his own players. Kilmarnock have won the free kick. Matty Kennedy at the edge of his own box. But yeah, set pieces are always going to be massive.
It gives them a chance to relieve pressure. I think Kilmarnock sitting so deep, and obviously against that Celtic team, when they're turning over the ball, they don't really have a focal point to kind of get their side up the park. So the times that they do, they need to try and make the most of it. And we all know Kilmarnock are a threat from set pieces, so Derek McInnes won't be happy with that.
Just seen the replay of that Nicholas Kuhn chance where Robbie McCrory had made the first save. It came back to him, just tried to lob it over McCrory. Just too much on it.
I'm going to cut him some slack. I thought that was a little bit more difficult than what I thought. I know Scott's got the ability to put that in the back of the net, but I thought, especially on his weaker foot, it was on his right, a little bit unlucky for me.
Would you have scored?
Yeah, but I was a prolific goal scorer, mate, as my record shows.
What about Desser's one yesterday?
Do you know something? I stick up for Desser. I thought he was unlucky. What one are you talking about?
The one he pulls out, does amazing, and then just lobs it over.
Yeah. I think it was a mixed bag for a couple of guys in here. I thought he should have probably been more composure. His touch, his run, and everything was brilliant. Yeah. He could have had a hat trick yesterday. But you've got to find the back of your net. That's the most important thing.
Kilmarnock with a delivery from the right. David Watson trying to get up for the header, didn't make the contact when he landed. You could see him put his hands on his head. Maybe felt he should have done better there. Was a header he scored, wasn't it, at Celtic Park last season?
Was it a header? I thought he got one at the back post.
I thought it was a header at the back post. I might be wrong.
Don't look at me. Scott will tell you, not me.
I can't remember that one either.
I always just look to the future, Hugh. I never look back.
Well, I'm just happy to be here.
Is that another one of your inspirational quotes you've got
never
for us?
Look back, look to the future.
He's a motivation speaker.
I tell you what, you talk about players and everything. James Forrest, first half's been excellent down the left hand side, you've got to say.
It was a back post header. Yes.
Was it?
Yeah. Definitely. You agreeing there as if I'm watching the video. It's somehow
the fact
confirmation
that you get the evidence right in front of you just sways it for me.
A Celtic corner into the box, flicked on and in for Celtic.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
A really nice header from Liam Scales off the far post and in. Celtic have doubled their advantage, and you felt it was only a matter of time.
Well, the 81-year-old Jim Craig, Lisbon Lion, who unfurled the league flag, will recognise that type of goal, because it's what Billy McNeil used to do for Celtic. Corner in, fantastic header, and that's that. Thank you. So Liam Scales, last season, one of the success stories. The fans love him. I still think Celtic need another central defender.
You say the fans love him. We've had quite a few calls from Celtic fans saying that they need to sign a new central defender to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers.
They do, but they still love the success story that is Liam Scales, over from, I think, Shamrock Rovers. Had his time at Aberdeen, would still be an Aberdeen player were it not for injury problems at Celtic. But that was one from the history books. That was Billy McNeil-esque.
That's too easy for Kilmarnock's point of view. Brilliant from Celtic's. Scales does particularly well. I always get back to, I know that the stat guy out there will probably shoot me down for it. I'm a great believer in having someone on a back post. I've always, through my management and coaching and everything, looking and thinking, but the modern day game doesn't do that.
You don't see it a lot.
Exactly. And if you do, then
they're dropping back after the ball comes in.
Too late. But the ball, the delivery is good. Scales unchallenged really, and it's you've got to say it's a terrific header.
It's funny for all the intricacy of Celtic's play, and it's been terrific to watch. Old fashioned corner, bump, header, goal. Thank you.
And I've got the prediction up.
Have you?
Yep, 2-0.
Almost. Another for Celtic. The save by Robbie McCrory had Kyogo waiting as well. It was cut in by James Forrest, cutting inside, curling the ball towards the far corner.
It's all Celtic. You know, you can actually you're looking and you could see some of the heads already of the Kilmarnock players thinking, this is going to be a long day for us.
Yeah, another corner from Matt O'Reilly this time, and I think the whistle maybe went before the corner was taken. Yeah, the referee was just unhappy with a few of the players pushing and pulling in the box, something that referees will be alert to this season. Willie Collum saying that in
he's got a hit.
Briefings earlier on
pick
this
up
season.
your leg.
Yeah, that was.
It's an eyes light up one, isn't it?
That's one of yours, isn't it?
I'd probably took that down and passed it again, Gordon.
Aye, I'm just thinking about the Kilmarnock players. I've now been that sort of mindset, thinking I'm feeling my hamstring a little bit here.
But they might be dedicated.
You got to get off you. You've already got your appearance money.
The thing is, even though it's 2-0 to Celtic, you'd maybe expecting Kilmarnock maybe go and have a go. The way Celtic are playing, controlling the game, they can't even get out their box to have a go. And that's the thing. What do you do? How do you change it? What would you do here?
I'm liking your 4-0.
You're liking my 4-0?
I'm liking you. I would actually buy that off
well,
you.
Can I say, Scott, what about Danny Armstrong, for example?
But the thing is, if you open up and you start putting men forward, all of a sudden this team's just got to pick you off at will, and it could run up anything, Hugh. That's a big problem here.
So if anybody comes on at this stage in the game, they're still going to have to do the tracking runners and get pinned back by the Celtic fullbacks and the wingers. So they're not an attacking threat either way.
Are we talking already then about damage limitation?
I think you're sitting there hoping that it's not going to be a sore one. There's no doubt in that, and it's okay. Supporters maybe at Kilmarnock saying, "Oh, put more players up front." You put more players up front, it opens the game up for Celtic, and the way that they're playing, you can walk out of Celtic Park tonight 5-6 down. It's as simple as that. So Derek knows that. He's a very experienced manager. Look, he'll be hoping there's no evidence of it, but he's hoping maybe second half set play or a wonder goal. 2-1 all of a sudden gives them a different lift. But just now you only see Celtic going on that into a score.
Yeah, Kilmarnock need to just make sure that they see out this half at 2-0.
Yeah, get into the dressing room. There's no doubt in that.
Are Celtic inclined to bring on new faces? Second half?
Not yet. Remember you're only one game into the season, Hugh. I think Brendan Rodgers will use this 11 as long as he possibly can. Yeah. He'll have a plan. Obviously he'll have a plan. He's a very experienced manager, and he'll want players off the bench. But
Matt O'Reilly with a brilliant pass over the top. Rio Hatate, I don't know whether he lost the flight of it or just thought that it wasn't going to curl round into his path, but it's did.
One of the passes. It looks amazing, but maybe if you're someone running into the box and being asked to control it, it's maybe a bit different.
Go on, Hugh, you're going to say it.
Danny McGrain there, best fullback of his generation.
Oh, that's what I keep saying. You've got Wilson, and then you look at Danny McGrain.
He and I used to get the bus out of Drumchapel in the morning.
Played against Danny a couple of times. Fantastic football. What a player he was. What
fellow
a
diabetic
player he was.
For me.
What?
Your fellow diabetic, one diabetic.
Yeah. fractured skull. Survived a fractured skull.
One of the best
everything.
full-back Scotland.
Broken leg.
Yeah.
Danny had a lot, but the best full-back of his generation.
Yeah, Kilmarnock just had a chance there to try and get into Celtic's box before the end of the game. Stuart Finlay then wasting the ball on the other side once it broke to them. It looks as if this half will finish 2-0 to Celtic with 10 minutes or 10 seconds to go, I should say, of the minimum 1 minute added. And Brendan Rodgers will be very happy with what he's seen.
Undoubtedly.
Half time.
Yes, it is half time at Celtic Park. Let's go to Roger Hannah.
Half time, Andrew. Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 0. The push for 4 in a row is off and running. Goals by Rio Hitati and Liam Scales of Celtic. Absolutely cruising in the interval. It's been a dominant first half display by Brendan Rodgers, champion, and it could have been even more. Kilmarnock had a sight a goal after 9 minutes. Matty Kennedy firing off target from an angle on the left hand side of the box. But after that, Celtic just moved through the gears. They could have taken the lead after 16 minutes. Ball hacked off the line by Brad Lyons after debuting goalie Robbie McCrory got a touch onto a Kyogo Furuhashi shot. Lyons in it right back with Kilmarnock missing Joe Wright, Robbie Dees and Corey Ndaba at the back, but Lyons was culpable when Celtic took the lead after 17 minutes. He dallied on the ball just on the edge of his own box. Matt O'Reilly stole it off him, fed Greg Taylor, who knocked it inside to Hitati, and a lovely touch and finish inside the near post. No chance at all for goalkeeper McCrory. The goalkeeper then at full strength in 20 minutes to deny Kyogo after O'Reilly's pass. Kasper Schmeichel on debut, hardly seen, but did make a routine save after the Celtic defence couldn't clear Fraser Murray's free kick from the left. He was called into action again a couple of minutes later. Kennedy's volley, this time well held after Kelly Campton Kyle Vassell made progress down the left and delivered the cross. But Celtic soon back in the front foot. 35 minutes, a good save, a double save by McCrory to deny Nicholas Kuhn. The first one pushed out and the second one tipped onto the top of the bar and over for the expense of a corner. But Celtic's second goal did come after 40 minutes. O'Reilly's corner on the left, up went Scales at the near post, high above Lewis Mayo, an easy finish across McCrory and in off the far post. It was almost 2 minutes later, McCrory again called into action to deny James Forrest with a right foot shot from the edge of the box. It's all Celtic in the first half, and you just wonder how many they'll get in the second as Kilmarnock tire. Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 0.
Yes, Brendan Rodgers will of course be the much happier of the two managers after that first half. Derek McInnes will certainly have some work to do, but there was a lot of hype around Celtic because of their pre-season results and how they played against the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Man City. The challenge was, would that translate into the competitive fixtures? And it's certainly looking that way after 45 minutes.
Yeah, the answer's yes, on that evidence of 45 minutes. And remember that Kilmarnock came there with a game plan to sit everyone behind the ball, make it very difficult for Celtic. But their movement's been terrific. It really has been terrific, and it could probably be more. It'll be interesting to see what Derek does at half time. He may change it, may change the shape, may change the personnel. He's got to do something, because this is going to be a 3 or a 4, whatever Celtic want it to be. But as far as Brendan Rodgers is concerned, he spoke about being happy at pre-season. He had a feeling that his players were a lot sharper, and they're certainly providing that this afternoon.
It's not just about the physical toll that's been taken of the Kilmarnock players, the mental concentration that they've had to show, and the longer the game goes on, the physical toll is there, but also you get tired in the mind as well, and one little turn off and it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, continuity from last season as well. Celtic ending the season very strongly. It is the same team, bar the goalkeeper, that finished last season well, and that will be promising for Celtic fans that they are seeing what won them a title last season.
I think touch on what Gordon said about the system that Kilmarnock have played. The games that Celtic played pre-season against Chelsea and Manchester City are completely different games. In terms of the midfield was open, there was spaces for all the players to play. So for them to play as purposely on the balls they have in this game against a low block, as they would say, has been it's something the Celtic fans will be really happy about.
The only thing I will say, sorry Andrew, I'll throw something out there that and hope for the Kilmarnock supporters and Derek McInnes. Celtic come in for criticism last season, always, every game, because they used to say they were brilliant in the first half, they dropped off at the second half. They were poor in the first half, they were great in the second half. They didn't combine the full 90 minutes together, and I think that's what Brendan Rodgers will be looking for in the Celtic fans this afternoon at Celtic Park. They'll be looking to kick on, score more goals and dominate this game better.
Yeah, managers will tell you that full 90-minute performances don't exist, and it's hard to dominate and play at the same level for the whole time. But Celtic fans will have a watchful eye to see if they can, come out the traps quickly in the second half as well now.
Yeah, it was something that was spoken about regularly last season. So Celtic, first game of the season, chance to go and put the kind of old rumours to bed and go out and really put Kilmarnock to the sword here. And like we touched on at the start about players getting goals and assists, they will smell that there's chances in goals in this game for themselves.
I think when Celtic won 5-0 at Rugby Park to win the league title, that was a full on 90 minutes that they put in there. They were absolutely superb. And I think there's a different vibe about Celtic Park just now, because when Brendan came back, we all know that there were people who were unhappy, didn't want him back at Celtic, and he had to endure that kind of welcome back. And in the end, he persevered, and it was his perseverance that eventually overcame Philippe Clement, who got to a stage where his team imploded and Brendan Rodgers' team did not. But this, Brendan Rodgers has the high ground now. That no Celtic fan is unhappy with Brendan Rodgers being back at Celtic Park, and he's got the players buying into his ways.
We're just seeing the goals again, but the real sort of statement was that early Kyogo chance where the ball came into his feet of the box, just let the ball roll across his body, took a really nice touch, put him 1-on-1 with Robbie McCrory. Wasn't able to take that chance, but from that moment on, it just looked as if Celtic were at it today.
Yeah, you can tell. You can always tell. You're looking, the warning signs were there. Yeah, they were a bit patient, and they had to be patient. But if you looked when the midfield was getting the ball, the rotations, the movement, the wide areas, Forrest and Taylor down the left, especially in the first half, their movement was too good. And it was just a matter of time, because Kilmarnock players, as much as they work so hard and put everything into it, these guys are just a little bit quicker at thinkers, and that's why they're playing with Celtic. And the movement is just a little bit too good, and Kilmarnock couldn't keep their concentration and get punished for it.
It feels like a criticism that maybe fans of every single team have, that they feel their team don't score enough goals from corners. You hear it all the time. Celtic have had that criticism before, but a goal from a Liam Scales header on the opening day is good for them.
Fantastic goal, great ball in again from Matt Riley, the old outswinger. Not one every team always does, but defenders, I've played with defenders who always want the outswinger, but me, if I was hitting, I would probably prefer the inswinger, putting it on top of the goalkeeper. But it's a well worked goal. Kilmarnock, Derek McInnes, you know what he thinks about set piece. He'll be really disappointed with that.
Half time, Celtic are 2-0 up against Kilmarnock. There has been two more games today as well. The Dundee derby, Dundee United 2-2 with Dundee, and then it was a 3-0 win for St Mirren in Paisley over Hibs. We'll bring you the Celtic, the second half I should say, from Celtic Park next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast.
With Lucas Jaguar. Looking to sell your Jaguar? Contact them today for a no obligation quotation.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow. Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lookers Audi. The fully electric Q4 is now available on Motability. Discover it today. The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Kilmarnock at Celtic Park on Flag Day for Brendan Rodgers' side, and they are 2-0 up and cruising so far. A Rio Hitati goal earlier on, and then it was a Liam Scales header. Hugh Keevins, Gordon Dalziel and Scott Allan in the studio with me. Roger Hanna is at Celtic Park. That is exactly the type of performance that you'd think Celtic fans would have been hoping for when they were making their way to the game today?
Yeah, without doubt. I just wonder if Brendan Rodgers might be tempted to bring on Louis Palma, who had an outstanding visit to America with the team pre-season. Kilmarnock, energy sapping first 45 minutes for them. The sight of Palma or anybody else is the last thing they need to see. But Celtic need 2 more goals, or else St Mirren will be top of the league tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they'll be too concerned about who's top of the league, just given that it is the first league weekend of the season. Also got St Johnstone against Aberdeen tomorrow night as well. We'll see if there is a few goals in that one as well. But with the way Celtic are playing, would you be surprised if Brendan Rodgers made those changes? If it is going well, would he want to disrupt things at all at the moment?
I think maybe come 70 early on in the season, you want to keep all players kind of fresh and firing, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he'd made some changes around about the 70-minute mark.
Kilmarnock more likely to switch things up?
I wouldn't be surprised if Derek changed 1 or 2 personnel. I agree with Hugh. I think that they've the Thursday night as well is maybe taking a little bit out of them. They've chased the ball. They've not had a lot of ball time this afternoon for 45 plus. Derek may just think, look, this game's probably away just now from us. We need to get fresh legs on, and he might just tweak the system. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because look, we've seen it before, 2-0. We all think that's comfortable, and the way we've witnessed Celtic this afternoon, it looks very comfortable. Games change very quickly. If Kilmarnock got a goal, but where's the goal come from?
Roger Hanna is at Celtic Park for us. Roger, I'm assuming it's a performance that the Celtic fans are really enjoying.
Yeah, very much so. Really, they were on the front foot almost from the first whistle. Really crisp passing, as Scott was saying, passing with a purpose. Everything going through Callum McGregor and Matt O'Reilly in that Celtic engine room, and they look as if they're just going to pick up competitively the way they played during that pre-season, when they scored 4 against DC United, 4 against Manchester City, 4 against Chelsea. As you said, Brendan Rodgers himself had remarked it was the most positive pre-season that he had ever been involved in, and it looks as if they're just taking it in to the competitive action in the defence of this Premiership title.
You can sometimes tell, looking at the half-time warm-ups, if there are changes imminent, if there are any players missing. Is there any signs, Roger?
No, absolutely not. All the Celtic substitutes look to be out. Interestingly enough, Jani Sinisala, the goalkeeper, out taking part with the outfield players, and it looks as if he's not got a bad touch either. He's right in the midst of everything. They're just warming up with at half time with the rest of the subs. But I agree with Scott. I would think there will be changes at some stage, maybe 70-75 minutes. You might see Yang, Lewis Palmer, Mikey Johnson, and I'm pretty sure you'll see Paulo Bernardo, a new 5-year deal signed in Thursday night, £3.5 million from Benfica. He is a permanent Celtic player. I think you'll see him at some stage this afternoon.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that still can give Celtic fans a lift, even though it's not a brand new shiny outfield player, the type that the Celtic fans are after. But having Paulo Bernardo on a permanent deal, he'll get a big reception if he takes to the field today.
Of course he will. I think that's a good sign. I really do. I think there was good signs last season that, you know, with a little bit more with Brendan Rodgers, as we've seen what he's achieved with Matt O'Reilly, I think he can bring him on. And Brendan Rodgers, obviously with the commitment of the 5-year contract, certainly thinks he can bring him on. So yeah, I think, and plus the fact he knows the club, he knows the players, he knows everything about playing with Celtic, I think that's a good bit of business.
When there maybe have been a few grumbles about the lack of business in terms of outfield players, Brendan Rodgers has said he still wants to bring that quality in.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers will be delighted if he can then add that quality to the type of performance that they're seeing today.
Yeah, of course. To be perfectly frank about it, Celtic, Scott and I watched the cup final, and Celtic are a player down on that day, May 25, Adam Ida, who's at Norwich. And the transfer window has 28 days to go or whatever. Celtic need a boost. They need more quality, particularly in terms of the Champions League. And what they have at the moment, you know, not everything in life is about money, but in football it is. And they need to get more quality in, and quickly.
The teams are making their way out the tunnel. Roger Hanna can give us a recap of the teams and take us up to kick-off for the second half.
Yeah, no changes so far. I'll just give you a Celtic team again. Schmeichel in goal, the back four: Johnson, Carter Vickers, Scales the goal scorer, and Taylor. Midfield: McGregor, O'Reilly and Hitati the other goal scorer, and a front three of Forrest, Kyogo and Kuhn. As for Kilmarnock, it's McCrory in goal. At the back, Lyons, Mayo, Finlay and Bainbridge. Midfield: Watson, Donnelly and Polworth, and up top Murray, Vassell and Kennedy, and Matt O'Reilly is getting the second half underway.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant that understands natural language so you can get straight to what you need.
Copilot, draft emails to chase unpaid invoices.
So, if you're a baker, like Diana, it could mean spending more time on what really matters. That's more carrot cake she can bake. Small businesses could save 4 days a month on financial admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
Looking to get car or van insurance double quick? To mustard.co.uk. With top insurance providers, a 5-minute pit stop with us could get you out in front in the race to savings. Car or van, work or play. Compare insurance with mustard.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Get advice on keeping infections and viruses away when school returns.
Underway for the second half at Celtic Park. Celtic 2-0 up on Kilmarnock on Flag Day. You'll be hoping that it's stop the count with your prediction. 2-0 you went for.
Look,
you think that's already knackered?
My prediction this weekend is already gone. I got it terribly wrong yesterday, and I think I'm going to get it wrong today.
What a great pass.
Yeah, Celtic looking to make something happen straight away. A lovely pass down the line into the box. Rayo Hitati played through, his cross goes out for, I think, a corner to Celtic.
Am I right on the ball this season? Has he changed the colour of his gumshoe?
Yeah, from blue to
there you go.
red.
That's what you get. You listen to Super Scoreboard, that's what you get.
Cutting edge analysis from Gordon Dalziel. Someone actually did tweet in earlier on saying that your motto that you had earlier on of only looking forward and not looking back.
I know it's coming.
When about 2 minutes earlier on you were bragging about your goal record from about 70 years ago.
That's completely true. I can't deny that.
See, my drawback is I'm old enough to remember DL as a player.
Some player.
And
him who are there.
The truth of the matter is he was a very good goal scorer.
You say that almost resentfully.
No. You know, he tells so
show.
many lies. I feel I have to introduce a
bit of truth,
a neutral's point of view. And he was a very good goal scorer.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't need you to stick up for me. The record books does that.
He was a toe rag if you were in.
Celtic with an early corner in the second half. Kilmarnock able to clear it as far as Alistair Johnston.
Well, it's more of the same, isn't it? It's just pick up where you left off. And you know, it's how long Kilmarnock can withstand this pressure.
Yeah, James Forrest this time getting to the byline. The cross with the left foot is caught by Robbie McCrory.
I did think Derek may have tweaked one or two things. Now, we're not at the game. Probably Roger will tell us better whether it's tweaked it with the personnel that he started the game with, because I couldn't see Kilmarnock getting up the pitch. I couldn't see them really scoring a goal, unless he's just happy with the fact that they've lost two goals, and hopefully they shut up shop at the back, or something happens for them, like they've got an opportunity here with a free kick.
This is where they need to do better, because this was just before half time. They had a free kick in pretty much an identical position that was just floated straight into the arms of Kasper Schmeichel.
Well, if they're going to do something, now would be the time. Just give Celtic something to think about, and unnerve the crowd at the same time. So it's exactly the scenario from the first half, and we'll see just how this one works out.
They also don't have the delivery of Danny Armstrong, which is normally so effective.
It is, but Matty Kennedy also a very good.
Yeah, that is a good ball towards the back post, and the header just unable to control it. Stuart Finlay, but it was a dangerous looking ball.
Yeah. I think that's a terrific ball into a good area. He's got men at the back post. It's just bouncing away from him A little bit unlucky, but better from Kilmarnock, I've got to say.
Yeah, Liam Scales just carrying the ball forward. Maybe a criticism of his last season was maybe not being as progressive enough, turning inside and passing to Cameron Carter-Vickers a lot. But when he's been on the ball so far today, he's looked for that forward pass. He's been striding forward at times.
Sometimes holds on to it too long and then runs out of ideas. But it's, Celtic having to think up ways, as they did in the first half, to extend this lead. And, they have the passing ability.
Yeah, Kilmarnock maybe with an opportunity on the break, but Celtic getting numbers back as Kyle Vassell got into Celtic's half. They defend it, put it out for a Kilmarnock throw.
I think that's the problem for Kilmarnock there. Even when they're defending, they've got the two in front of the back four, and Matt O'Reilly and Hatate, they're playing it either side, and even when they pop out, James Forrest is coming into the pockets, and it's caused them all sorts of problems. That's why, as much as you want to sit in the edge of the box, when you're playing against movement, that can be very difficult.
James Forrest had one run there and he seemed to feel something. I just wonder if
I think it was a sliding challenge on him as he played the ball into the box. It maybe looked more impact than muscle injury. Yeah, because there he is. He's making a run in the centre of the park, looking like he's moving pretty freely as Celtic try to get the ball forward again down the right, looking to add a third goal to the afternoon. The cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Kilmarnock this time.
I mean, a third goal for Celtic and it's game, set, match. So Kilmarnock tried to avoid a premature ending to the afternoon.
A new club for you this season, Scott. How are you finding it at Kelty?
Yeah, well, we got a point yesterday away to Montrose. Could have nicked it in the latter stages. Striker had a big chance, but didn't take it. But a real positive. We've had a few injuries, and even yesterday one of the boys gets injured in the warm up. So I think it could turn out to be a good point. But I've enjoyed it. I've obviously doing coaching side of it too and playing. First time in a long time I've played 90 minutes in a row, so there's still some life left in me.
How old are you, Scott?
33 in a few months.
I'll give up some.
How's the body? Feeling alright after the few 90 minutes in a row?
Yeah, a wee bit sore today, but it's part and parcel now.
I was actually going to say when he walked into the building tonight, I was going to say, you look fit enough still to be playing, but I'm glad I kept my mouth shut with that one.
And just broadcast it on the radio instead.
Yeah,
a few minutes later.
Exactly. I'll be looking out for Kelty now. Big fan now.
Just tell us the striker's name and we'll just say.
No, I can't chuck him.
Cost the club 2 points there.
I'm not chucking.
Did you say he missed a sitter?
No, I said he had a big chance to maybe take 3 points. Hugh's just twisting it a wee bit now.
Quite right, Hugh. We'll get it out. We'll get it out.
A big game tomorrow night as well, St Johnstone against Aberdeen.
I mean,
Jimmy Tilley will be looking for a strong start to the Premiership campaign.
Mark Wilson, Gordon Dale, myself all tipped St Johnstone to be relegated, and they're at home, and it's the Tilley factor that goes on trial tomorrow, so he'd be desperate to get off to a good start. But Craig Levein, I read this morning, said he was feeling slightly intimidated by the start of the season. Not what you want to hear, really. Yeah, but he feels he clearly hasn't got as many players in the squad that he feels comfortable with as he would have liked.
He has brought one of my favourite players to watch back to the Scottish Premiership, though, Uche Ekpiezu.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's a handful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching a game and he genuinely was running down the line with somebody on his back.
Seriously?
Aye. Genuinely at Tynecastle.
Here's another test of the Celtic defence, another free kick.
Yeah, Fraser Murray it will be to deliver from the left side of the box for Kilmarnock. Floats it in. It's dealt with well by Celtic, who can maybe carry the ball away with Nicholas Kuhn.
Well, he's certainly intent on doing that.
Yeah, he's done well, Nicholas Kuhn, to break away from 2 challenges and now bearing down on the box. Celtic have numbers. Nicholas Kuhn plays it in for Callum McGregor and he cuts the ball back, but blocked.
Should McGregor have taken on the shot?
No, I think Kuhn should have used him as a decoy and kept going. Yeah, just a wee fade, and then
it was actually a really good defending and then to stop the ball coming across from the Kilmarnock player. I don't know who it was quite.
That's exactly what Celtic fans will be wanting to see from Nicholas Kuhn after a positive pre-season. That really quick, skipping by a couple of challenges, making the right pass as well into Callum McGregor.
He's got a nice left foot, you've got to say, and he showed a good burst of pace there. to get away from a couple of Kilmarnock players. It's a big season for him. He's settled in now. Hatate.
Chance Rio Hatate, and that one very similar to the one he scored this time, just goes the wrong side of the post.
I think it might have taken a deflection. I think Celtic might have got a corner out of this.
Yeah,
it's a corner, Hugh.
Yeah, James Forrest stabbing it to him at the edge of the box, maybe a few yards further out this time. Just couldn't find the bottom corner.
You've just got that feeling that third goal's just round the corner. Celtic's starting to move it, and their movement's terrific, getting balls in the box. A little bit too much from AJ out on the right hand side. Did you know I coached them?
Did you?
Yeah. The boys will tell you, Alistair Johnston.
And then, by the way, see as much nonsense as he talks, this one is unfortunately true.
He's not heard my sort of a. And I played with Postecoglou. Do you know that one?
Where?
Australia. Melbourne, yeah. Me and him are teammates.
But
speak to him quite a lot. I've not been down to Spurs yet.
When Ange Postecoglou first came in, Gordon Dalziel was convinced that he'd played against him. He was like, I'm sure I'd played against him, and everyone rubbished it and thought that's a load of nonsense until someone found an old team sheet. He didn't play against him, played with him.
Teammate, mate.
Was a teammate of Ange Postecoglou.
He's never off the phone. I'm going.
What about Anthony Johnson? Alistair Johnson.
Toronto. I was over in Toronto. I was a big name over there coaching. And AJ came
over in Canada.
AJ,
which is genuinely true as well. It sounds nonsense.
Aurora. It's called Aurora. If you look up, AJ came along to the camp, and I seen the prospect right away.
Sent you a video, didn't he? A video message.
Sent a video as well. Yeah. Good lad. I like AJ.
After was it a league title win? He said there was a video that someone had clearly forced him to take, saying that it was all down to you.
Listen, he recognised I was a big part of his career going forward. So that's what you have to live up to, mate. So get your boots stuck into Kelty and get some coaching badges.
Celtic fans will be glad to see Alistair Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers back on the pitch as well. Obviously not taking part in pre-season. They were away at Copa America. Canada into the third place playoff, so they got quite deep into it as well, but ready and fresh for the start of the new season.
And they're still buzzing around that goal, looking to try and break that Kilmarnock defence for the third time.
Do you know who looks really sharp for me?
Kuhn.
Not apart from him, I think Hatate looks really at it today. He had a sort of a stop-start season, I would say, last year, but he really looks up for it.
There were times last season when you thought,
here's a chance for Celtic. Liam Scales, shot blocked on the line, fell to him from a corner, got the left-footed shot away. Would have been going in if it wasn't for Kilmarnock having a player on the post.
There were times last season, Gordon, when you felt that perhaps the shirt looked a bit heavy for him, but now he looks as if he feels part of it all.
Yeah, I think it's all down to the fact that he did come in, and it's well documented, Hugh, that he struggled a little bit. He had obviously the problems with the weight and everything, and sometimes it takes you a bit of time to come into clubs, especially the size of Celtic, into a different brand of football, obviously Scottish football, and I think he looks a lot sharper now because he's got a good pre-season behind him.
On the case of Rio Hatate, you rewind 12 months, was on the bench, wasn't he, for Celtic's opening game of the league campaign. Brendan Rodgers preferred David Turnbull to him on that day.
A difficult season, Rio Hatate. There were injury problems, and he, like Kyogo, he just didn't look as free as they had once done. But they're now, I think Kyogo will get a goal before this game ends. But he looks lively, sharp, and likewise Hatate.
Don't really have anyone to take him off for, do they? Celtic?
No.
Even there, though, he's taking the defender away, pops into the number 10 position. They're looking to find him all the time, and Celtic get runners beyond, runners everywhere like that. It's such a difficult task for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think some of the Kilmarnock legs are already looking a bit heavy. 58 minutes into this game, being run ragged by Celtic, who are quite happy to be patient around the box, keep the ball, wait for the right opportunity to find that pass. Scott
will tell you, nothing worse when you're chasing the ball. It's brilliant when you're knocking it about, you're on it, you never feel tired, but when you're chasing it, it's a different game at all.
Yeah, they'll be looking at the clock now. I think they'll definitely be looking at the clock.
Looking at the clock or looking at the bench.
Yeah.
Liam Scales with a forward pass that's cut out, and it's one of these opportunities where Kilmarnock get on the ball, try to make some progress up the pitch, which they do this time. Matty Kennedy in a crossing position, squaring up Cameron Carter-Vickers. They might well get the ball into the box, but no, it was the wrong. Well, I don't know whether it was the wrong choice of pass or just too much on it towards Matty Kennedy.
I thought it was a good idea. It was the weight of the pass was just too much. I thought it was a good run, good idea, good vision, but you've got to look at this game. 60 minutes? Kilmarnock have not really troubled the Celtic goalkeeper, have they?
A lovely ball round the corner from Kyogo into the path of Nicholas Kuhn. Waits for the support, or will he go himself? Cuts in on his left foot, his favoured left foot, takes a deflection, and there you go.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Well, we were just talking about Nicholas Kuhn, who had a nice run not too long ago. This time has a similar run, cuts inside, and there's a bit of a dance going on between Nicholas Kuhn, Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly, but Nicholas Kuhn is off the mark for the season. Took a big deflection, looped over by Robbie McCrory, but he won't care. It's 3-0 Celtic.
He's earned the goal by his endeavours, and he looks a different specimen altogether from last season's version. So Brendan Rodgers will be very happy to see that.
That's all down to Kyogo for me. What a pass that is from the
first time ball.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. All of a sudden the defender has got a problem. Does he show him down the line? He comes inside. Yeah, he gets a little bit of luck, but he deserves the luck. He's been positive. He's come in onto that favourite left foot. It was never going to trouble the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's picking that up, but he doesn't care. He's got his little bit of luck and fortune that he's looking for, and it's ended up in the back of it.
It's just what happens when you fake to shoot a few times and defenders maybe get a bit all over the place. It was a crowded box. You get a shot away, it can take a nick, it can go anywhere.
Yeah, especially when they've been against it the full game. It gets a bit desperate in defence. I think, like I touched on a few minutes before the goal, the ball, Kyogo takes the defender away, drops in, and runners beyond, round the corner. It's a great goal from a Celtic perspective. Kyogo not had his goal as of yet, but he's influenced this game so much.
That's your prediction gone, Gordon?
Well,
2-0, 3-0 now.
I was never confident the way Celtic started the game. I think Scott's probably the one that's going to be on the money, and you just wonder now, will Celtic look to the bench and start thinking about those substitutions, because this game is well and truly done. I don't know if they're maybe thinking bring on Danny and Jim Craig at fullbacks. They're that comfortable.
I think there is going to be two changes. Roger Hanna tells us that Lewis Palma and Anthony Ralston are the two, so you'd think Alistair Johnson probably off the back of Copa America might be good to give him a bit of a rest, and then Lewis Palma.
James Forrest maybe,
you would think.
Yeah,
I mean, Palma had such a good time in America, apparently playing out of his skin, so it's a half hour to showcase himself.
Celtic are not finished here, let me tell you.
No. Matt O'Reilly plays it in for Nicholas Kuhn, tries to find the ball across the face of goal, but is blocked. We'll have a second opportunity to try and get it into the box, and whoever it is that's going to make way will maybe hope they can make an impact before the substitutions are made. This Nicholas Kuhn shot from a bit further out, deflected again, but into the arms of Robbie McCrory.
The Celtic fans will be happy with his performance this afternoon. He's looked lively, he's looked sharp. Everything he's doing is positive. Here's the substitutions now. I think you're right. Obviously, Ralston straight swap for Johnson, and it's just a case. Does he decide to leave Forrest on, take Kuhn off? I would probably think he'll take Forrest off.
We mentioned it earlier on just about what getting a goal on the first day of the season can do. That'll be big for Nicholas Kuhn, who was looking to really build this season. Yeah,
well, he's definitely built on his pre-season. I think the Celtic fans have been looking to see the best of him. Started the season,
it will be him to make weight
coming off, so he'll be happy. He's been very lively today, as of the majority of the Celtic attacking players, but a great start to the season for him.
It was that performance against Man City, wasn't it? He got a couple of goals. There was that assist for Kyogo's goal as well. Looked really sharp.
You just look at that scoreline, Man City 3, and you think, Celtic 4, and you think, wow.
Yep.
So it's done them all the world of good, and Louis Palma, I'm sure, would like to pick up where he left off in America, and like to let the Celtic fans know that he too is a revitalised, re-energised player from the version that they remember last season.
It was a good result against Man City, but you've got to remember we were very early into our pre-season now.
Oh yeah.
Do you know I played Man City as well?
Did you actually?
Yeah.
when they were in the third division.
No, they were not. They were in the top league. First game, Chelsea, Stamford Bridge, outstanding. 1-0 victory.
Get the goal?
No, I was. I played well. That was my only game I played well. The rest I was rubbish.
The producer's trying to do you in here. He's telling me you played 5 games with 0 goals.
I was a winger. I hugged the touchline, and then after I hugged the touchline, sitting in the bench,
chalking the boots.
Yeah, I was honestly. I started off brilliantly and then just faded. As you do.
You're a 5-game wonder.
Hugh does it every Saturday. Starts off great at 2 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, he's all over the place.
We just saw a slow motion replay of that coordinated dance that Matt O'Reilly and Kyogo and Nicholas Kuhn were partaking in there. Did you have any of that when you were a player?
I would never. That's embarrassing. I would never do it. I've not got the moves first and foremost, but it wasn't my scene.
To be fair, I think you've been spotted in a few Glasgow bars recently doing something similar to that.
I'm not really a dancer. I'm more a sort of a slider roundabout. I just slide over.
I thought you were going to say a lurker.
Well, it could be whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, there's going to be a change for Kilmarnock on that note. Liam Polworth, his afternoon is over. There's actually going to be 3 changes. Polworth, Kennedy and Vassell off. Cameron, Armstrong and McKenzie all coming on. So Danny Armstrong will come on. The experience of Rory McKenzie, young striker, and his Cameron will be the third.
Well, the 3 off will be glad of the rest, that's for sure. And the 3 on will be saying, well, what do you want us to do about it? 3 down.
Yeah, what's that situation like coming on in a game like that where it's backs to the wall, you're thrown on with 25 minutes to go into a game where just nothing's happening?
I think personally you still want to try and affect the game, and you're obviously usually a bit unhappy that you've not started. So first and foremost, you want to do the things that to get in the team the following week. So that's, you have 100%, track your runners, get on the ball and try and make something happen. So that's personally what you would think as a player.
European places to play for these Kilmarnock players as well. A big game at home to Tromsø on Thursday night,
and then it's the Arctic Circle for the return leg. So it's a real tough start for Kilmarnock. You know, the 2 games against Bruges were very demanding physically. This has obviously been very demanding physically, and with no respite, in you go against Tromsø before your next league game.
Well, the first glimpse of Danny Armstrong that we're going to get is from a corner, left-footed delivery. It's a good delivery, and there is a chance for Kilmarnock. Rory McKenzie it was, who's also just dragging that volley wide of the mark.
You just wonder if there's somebody in the middle there. Can he react to that? Is it Kennedy? Could maybe have reacted on his toes a little bit quicker.
I wouldn't think it was Kennedy. He's just gone off.
Is it off it?
Cameron, and it's Cameron.
Was it? Brilliant. I knew it was somebody.
One of them.
Yeah, a Kilmarnock player, I should have just said. But listen, Derek knows this game's gone. I think Hugh's right. They've got a very difficult start. I think the start for the season will do them the world of good. I think that getting the sort of you play Celtic, the sharpness and the work rate and everything you get in benefits you. I know it's a hard afternoon for the Kilmarnock players, I really do, but in the long term that will benefit you.
Yeah, one thing you don't want to be doing in the opening day of the season is conceding 4, 5, 6.
Because even though it's Celtic at Celtic Park on Flag Day, it's still a blow to the professional pride.
Do you still think Kyogo will get his goal, Hugh?
Yes.
Are you still sticking by that?
He's got a quarter of the game left.
Since those changes, Kilmarnock have looked a bit more positive. There's a ball into the box, and that looked like a decent opportunity for Fraser Murray, who was making that run, got the headed contact on it, was all alone, just not able to direct it on target. A really good delivery.
Was he onside there? Yeah.
Looked it,
Yeah, it was a terrific run, terrific ball.
Was that a tough one to take? Did he maybe have the thought of Kasper Schmeichel rushing out in his head?
Maybe, but it's more positive for Kilmarnock since the substitutions were made.
Yeah, they'll be hoping that they can maybe try and, I mean, a long way back into this game, but certainly do some positive things, get their own fans excited, their travelling support.
Well, they could do me a favour, score a goal, and my 3-1 prediction would be correct.
Can't be having that on the first weekend of the season. Hugh Keevins getting a prediction correct. It's the whole thing knackered.
But it would show there's life in the old dog.
68 minutes on the clock between Celtic and Kilmarnock. A 3-0 win for Celtic, which would at the moment put them joint top of the table with St Mirren, who were also 3-0 winners against Hibs earlier on.
I don't think Celtic are finished yet, Andrew.
No.
I think they're moving the ball. I think they're hungry for more. Their movement's terrific.
Did you have some problems with your voice yesterday? I think it might be continuing there as well.
Yesterday?
Yeah, I heard that on the show yesterday. Gordon was saying that there was
Thursday
was it Thursday night?
Thursday night.
A chance for Celtic into the box. Callum McGregor's shot blocked, and Rio Hatate's follow-up goes over the bar.
Hatate's desperate for another goal, isn't he?
I think he's been excellent as well. I think most of the Celtic players have been very good, very sharp today. They've dominated this game. Another good effort, unfortunately, just over the bar. Yeah, I've had a little bit of chest problem this week, and it's affected the vocal cords, which led me not to be in the karaoke #1 list last night. But hopefully I'll be okay by next week.
Because at one point your voice started to break a wee bit, but also just about 5 minutes ago, which reminded me last season when I was in the studio with you and Mark Wilson. And you were there as well, Hugh Keevins.
Oh, you got to play this clip again, ain't you?
Right, let's listen to this because it makes me laugh every single time.
Wasn't he very mobile, was he, when he came back?
No, he didn't look fit at all.
Any time I hear that, it brings me pure joy. I have no idea what went on. Still no idea to this day what on earth happened to your voice.
Let me tell you,
it's better every time.
You're not the only one that had no idea. My voice just completely left me. And I'll tell you what, I think everybody listening to the show was delighted with that. But yeah, I've had a little chest problem this week, and I would like to apologise to everyone listening.
Apologise to the fans. An official statement
for the husky
let
voice.
The side down.
I've got my Lensip and everything with me. And if producer Chris would bother to get in here and look after me and put this in a glass, I'd be delighted.
Liam Donnelly going into the book there, just pulling Rio Hatate off the ball. It's been a couple of times I think he's maybe blocked the run of Rio Hatate, knocked him down. This time is a step too far for the referee, who quite good for a booking normally. Liam Donnelly. Is that a long ball almost on the money from Matt O'Reilly towards Lewis Palmer? It was a really, really good effort, that pass, wasn't it?
Within two passes, Celtic nearly cut right through Kilmarnock. The technique on that, but Matt O'Reilly's full of confidence just now, as we spoke about at the top of the show, in terms of interest, and then his influence on the game as well just shows you how valuable he is to this Celtic side.
Peter Schmeichel just shown on TV there, of course, the dad of Kasper Schmeichel, along watching his son's competitive Celtic debut.
One of the great goalkeepers. I wonder what impression he'll take away of Scottish football in general, Celtic Park in particular. And if anyone asks him about Matt O'Reilly or Rio Hatate, he'll be able to say, well, let me tell you, I saw them on Sunday, and they can play.
We've had a few famous relatives in Scottish football over the years. I remember that a few years ago I was covering a Partick Thistle game. I just went into the press room at Partick Thistle, and there was a guy sitting in the corner by himself, keeping himself to himself, not really chatting to anyone. Did a double take. Martin Keown, because his son Niall Keown was playing for Partick Thistle at the time.
Did he end up at Inverness or something?
Jamie Carragher's son.
Carragher, yeah, he was another one. Come up.
He went to a few Inverness games last season, didn't he?
Liam Donnelly's going close to the wind here. You know, he's been booked and then flew into another one there. So the very last thing Kilmarnock needs is to be down to 10 men.
Yeah, you wonder if that is maybe a change that Derek McInnes might think about.
Well, he's still got probably 20 minutes of this game to go with time added on. It's a long 20 minutes for these Kilmarnock players.
Sent off first game of the season would not be what you want.
That's why you're starting to see the type of challenges and the grabbing and the body checks. It's such a
tiredness as well.
Tiredness.
Yeah.
Mix of tiredness and just that frustration as well.
Yeah. They've hardly seen the ball today, especially in the midfield. They've been given the run around by that Celtic 3.
Their interplay is brilliant. There's a chance
wonderful
now.
Cross into the box. Kyogo with the opportunity, doesn't catch it correctly, and that one goes wide of the mark. It was a brilliant cross into the box, wasn't it?
Yeah, that'd have been a great move. Like we just spoke about the Celtic midfield, we get runners on behind. What a ball that is! Is that Hatate?
Yeah, Rio Hatate
got to score it.
Got the ball just in that dangerous area where it's too far away from the goalkeeper. It's in behind the defence, and Kyogo.
Oh, he'll be fuming with that.
Yeah, you got to score that.
Yep.
You got to, especially of a man of his ability. But I think Scott's right. The ball from Hatate is different class. Put in a plate, put it in the back of the net, but I think he was obviously listening to Hugh's prediction and got it all wrong.
Bobby Wales on for Liam Donnelly. We just mentioned it.
Yeah.
He's been taken off. Young striker Bobby Wales, who's had a couple of loan spells at Alloa, where he scored some goals. Scotland Youth International.
Derek McInnes has obviously thought to himself, he's going off unless I take him off. So shrewd management. But to go back to Kyogo, you know, that situation where he is the only striker at Celtic Park. I mean, how long does it take to address that situation?
Yeah, because what does Celtic do if they want to give Kyogo a rest at the moment? Is it a case of just putting one of the wingers central? We've seen it before a few times. Daisen Maeda's played through the middle before. It looks as if Yang is about to come on.
But
could be for
Celtic,
James Forrest.
A club like Celtic shouldn't be will move Yang out there, or will, you know, whoever. I mean, there has to be greater strength and depth. I mean, and not just one more striker.
There probably is some logic, though, to how Celtic have found themselves in this situation, because it looks as if Brendan Rodgers wanted his three strikers this season to be Kyogo, Adamida, who they've had a bit of trouble agreeing a deal on, and Rocco Vata. But Rocco Vata
gone to Watford.
Has gone to Watford, didn't sign a new contract. Brendan Rodgers came out and said that he essentially said to Rocco Vata he would be the third striker for them this season. So he's now gone. It's
easy to say that, though, that Rocco Vata's probably saying, I need to play games now. He didn't exactly get that opportunity to get a real run of games, even when some of the strikers were misfiring. So you can see why Rocco Vata's left.
But as things stand at the moment, Kyogo is on the park. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with his performance other than that one chance that he should have scored with, but didn't. But as Scott said, you can't take him off because there's nobody else.
There has been, we've heard it on the phones, Celtic fans frustrated, maybe a bit worried about the lack of business. Can a performance like this maybe just steady that a wee bit? Not in terms of Celtic fans will obviously still want the incomings, but they don't play a European game until the middle of September. I think 17th to the 19th of September are when the first Champions League games are. The squad have proven they are good enough to win domestic games, to win a domestic title. They've put in a very good performance today. Patience will be needed. It looks as if patience will be needed. Well, let's just help the patience a wee bit if Celtic fans have seen them in a competitive game for the first time and seen them play very well.
Yeah, but I do think, you know, that I accept the point. Champions League's not until September. However, away match at Hibs next Sunday. We've got St Mirren, I think, thereafter, who are going very well, and then Rangers. I do think people are entitled to ask why 11 weeks after the cup final is Kyogo the only striker at the club.
Yang has made his way onto the pitch for James Forrest. Yet to see Paulo Bernardo on his permanent return to the club. I
don't think he will. I think he'll just sit this one out.
Yeah, hard to tell exactly what kind of pre-season he's had as well.
Yeah.
He maybe started a bit later than Celtic had. He's maybe not been involved too much with a move on the horizon. No point in rushing him into a game like this either.
So we'll see Yang, another one who sometimes last season he had one golden game, I think, against Aberdeen at Celtic Park, but struggled by and large. So he's got 15 minutes to see if he can please the crowd.
Kasper Schmeichel will be thinking that he could get used to this.
Yes, I think he's thinking, hold on a minute, I'm not really getting a lot of action, but it's just because Celtic have dominated the game. You would think that Celtic would have most of possession at Celtic Park on opening day of the season, but he's had a very quiet afternoon.
Quite often Celtic and Rangers goalkeepers are judged on not being involved a lot of the time, and then
making a great save,
staying concentrated, having to make one big save, but he's not really had to be alert at all in 7 to 8 minutes of football, has he?
I think I could have went in nets for Celtic today and probably kept a clean sheet. Look, there'll be plenty of time where he will be tested, and he showed great form in pre-season. I know it's pre-season, but he's a very, very experienced and terrific goalkeeper.
That's a good ball over the top towards Lewis Palmer, whose cross is overhit. Once again, Celtic quality of pass a lot of the time is looking really good from Celtic today, whether it's Matt O'Reilly, Greg Taylor in that instance, Rio Hatate.
You can only do that if you've got runners off the ball, and that Celtic have had it in abundance today. The guys, full-backs, midfield runners, Kyogo either spinning into the channel or dropping in. So when you're a midfielder and you can play the type of pass, you can only play them if you've got the runs, and they've had that in abundance.
And I think Hatate's been sensational. I really do. He's been everywhere today, in good positions, causing problems, got his goal as well. I just think he's had a terrific afternoon of football.
We talked about a nervous wait for Celtic fans in terms of incomings, outgoings as well. Not only Matt O'Reilly, but reported interest in Rio Hatate from Leicester this week.
You're not surprised with that, because he's a talented footballer, and he's already showed it this afternoon how good he is. So that's a compliment to players and obviously the club. It'll be interesting to see if they do come up with a price tag that Celtic are looking for, because everybody is available at price, of course they are. But I'm sure, like Matt O'Reilly, they want to keep them a building. Kyogo,
chance for Celtic here. The ball is in the back of the net for Kyogo, but the flag goes up.
Oh, look, he was ready to celebrate.
I was getting my phone now there.
Yeah, Liam Scales with the ball over the top.
He's
I
on.
tell you what, that looks.
He's off.
That looks tight.
He's off.
That looks tight.
Go his Specsavers. He's off.
This will, of course, be checked.
He's off.
You convinced by that?
All day long.
I've given up trying to guess from just the naked eye. It's impossible to tell with the camera angles. I've seen so many that I think are on, that are off, and vice versa.
I can assure you right now that's off.
It's close, he's saying.
No, it's not. He's gone. It's off. Daz knows it's off.
It looked close to me. Looked close.
Yeah, he's just off, unfortunately.
Off.
He is off. Yep.
Why did you doubt
Incredible.
me? I'm good at my job.
You were so certain with that as well.
100%.
There was no way you were.
Goodness, I was
going to say there was no way you were certain. You just declared something and then had to stick by it.
I was certain. The minute I seen it, I've got a knack of things like that.
I mean, it was a really nice first touch from Kyogo as well, from the ball over the top to Liam Scales. The finish was
I think
good.
you're doing that a disservice. It was really nice. Ball over his shoulder, plucked out the sky, just in line for you to go and slot it in the bottom corner. Listen, he would have deserved that today, but unfortunately it's offside. Yeah,
ball into the box for Kilmarnock this time. Cameron Carter-Vickers doing his job, heading the ball away.
Yeah, and it's important for Celtic as well. As long as they've controlled the game, they've been excellent, you can't fault them. They want a clean sheet. Guys at the back, and especially with the experience they've got, Schmeichel and Carter-Vickers and people like that, they want a clean sheet. That's what they pride themselves on. There you go.
Look how tight that is.
Doesn't matter how tight it is, it's offside.
The fact that you're claiming that you are so sure from the naked eye is incredible. But
a hard-boiled egg, a soft-boiled egg, still an egg.
Yeah, there will be.
Two of them.
Well, it's Rio Hatate is going to make way for Odin Thiago Holm. Kyogo was clapping there, looking as if he was coming off. I don't know, he was maybe clapping Liam Scales for the pass that he got earlier on, but it will be Odin Thiago Holm on for Rio Hatate.
Well,
a player who completely faded out of things last season, came into the side, showed a couple of flashes, but just really wasn't involved all that much.
Again, Brendan Rodgers was quite succinct about it all. Doesn't work hard enough, therefore doesn't get a game.
Yeah, he said that needed to see more from him and Bosun Lowell, wasn't it, who spent last season on loan at Fleetwood Town.
But Odin Thiago Holm was one of that raft of players who came in, all the projects, and who really didn't cut it at Celtic. Some like Marco Tilio, Haksabanovic, they've started to drift out of the club. But if Odin Thiago Holm was in any doubt, about why he wasn't getting the game. His manager told him.
Brilliant play.
It's more nice play from Celtic, and then Lewis Palma scythed down, and it will be a booking for Brad Lyons. Not quite sure what he's complaining about. Looked pretty clear. It's a lovely flick by Odin Thiago Holm just into the path of Lewis Palma. His first contribution, and Celtic have won a free kick. But once again, sharp play from Celtic.
Now, right away, Thiago Holm shows something. He's got to continue to show things to the manager, or he will go out of the club as well.
He looks in
looks in a bit of bother, Lewis Palma. It doesn't look overly comfortable. It's his right ankle I think he's clutching on to, getting a bit of treatment. Not what he'll want on the first league game of the season, especially at 3-0 up. We'll just see this again.
He's went over. That's a sore one.
Yeah, caught by the studs of Brad Lyons. It's boot to boot contact, but what it does is it means Lewis Palma then rolls his ankle, which looks a very sore one.
Not long on, he'll be going back off again.
It's a good point though, like see in terms of what Hugh was saying about Kyogo, that could quite easily happen to Kyogo and Celtic are in a real position.
And that's why fans are bewildered. I mean, I know that some other fans think that this is a press invention and the press going on about these things, but we had Brian Graham in the studio here. I think it was Wednesday with you,
Thursday. Yeah.
Brian Graham, seasoned professional, said Brendan Rodgers can't be happy with this, and nor should he be. Kyogo's one injury away from leaving Celtic with a gaping hole.
Yeah, there were more developments in the Adamida story over the last couple of days. Played a pre-season friendly for Norwich, was seemingly booed by sections of the Norwich support. The Norwich players went over to applaud the supporters. Adamida went straight down the tunnel. It looks quite
there you go, Hugh.
a chance for Celtic. Kyogo,
penalty.
Bobby McCrory came rushing out, and
there's your injury. There's maybe your injury. He's collided with the goalkeeper. Is he still down?
Still down. Kyogo certainly got the first contact on that, took the ball away from the on-rushing Robbie McCrory, and the game is going to be stopped just at the moment to check on Kyogo's injury. I wonder if the referee's maybe done that just to have a look at whether it could well be a penalty or not.
But
Kyogo's possibly leaning offside there.
But hopefully Kyogo will be fine. But there you have it, the one incident that can leave you with nobody. Now, to go back to Adamida,
which is first of all, Hugh, is that a penalty for you, Scott, if Kyogo's onside?
No, I don't really know how the goalkeeper gets out of the way there.
He's offside.
Yeah, looks a shade offside, but we will see what happens. There was definitely a pretty hefty collision between Robbie McCrory and Kyogo, who's still down, I think, waiting for treatment.
He's waiting to see if it's a penalty.
Yeah.
But to go back to that situation, no penalty.
Yeah, the check is complete.
To go back to that situation, Adam Ida, on the 4th of July, Celtic made a bid for Adam Ida, which was rejected by Norwich. On the 4th of August, they still don't have him. How long does it take? And why a club like Celtic are watching Kyogo hobble and don't have any other striker at the club? Why has that been allowed to happen?
I don't think with the Ida situation that Celtic are totally blamed for it, Hugh. I think that
they brought in a new manager who certainly wanted to see what Ida was like. Started a couple of friendlies for them.
Yeah, and it's okay saying just go and pay the money, but you're a business, you're not going to pay over the odds. Celtic know what his valuation is.
I'm not suggesting that they abandon their business principles and are held hostage by Norwich City, but if it's not Adamida, was he the only target you had? Is there nobody else?
Maybe he is the prime target. Celtic still think that it's a realistic option that they can get him in because of what's happening at Norwich, so they're not going to move on to their number 2 target if they think that their number 1 target is still going to join the club.
Well, Norwich, when they know how desperate Celtic are, they're going to hang out for as much money as possible, as you would do if you were the owner of a club.
Well, they got the scare. Kyogo's okay, although I'm saying okay.
I don't think he'll last here. No. Listen, Hugh, I'm not arguing that point that you're making, because I think it is a really good point that you can't leave yourself short. but sometimes we don't really know what's happening in the background. I'm sure it's Celtic. Listen, we're standing in here talking about it. Brendan Rodgers he knows better than anyone exactly what's going on inside that building and what he's got to do. He ain't going to leave his cell with one striker. Absolutely no chance.
Well, 11 weeks. I'll go back to it. 11 weeks is the cup final.
Yeah, we'll see if that develops over the next week or so. Celtic, of course, got Paulo Bernardo in the door this week, their first outfield acquisition. Brendan Rodgers pushing for more quality. He's certainly seen a lot of quality from his team today. A minute and a half to go of the regulation 90. Celtic cruising to a 3-0 victory on Flag Day.
Yeah, the fans will be happy because there was only one object to the exercise today: winning 24 hours after Rangers had failed to win. And even though it's one game into the season, you're 2 points in front of your biggest rivals, and that's all that matters.
They've been good today. You can't take that away from them. I think their passing's been crisp, their movement's been good. Hatate has been absolutely brilliant. They've scored 3 goals, probably could have been more. Their goalkeepers, Harley, had a touch of the ball, clean sheet. So a lot of positives there for Brendan Rodgers, and it'll be interesting to see the developments of, and I totally agree with you about new players coming in next week.
Celtic looking to maybe get one more here. Matt O'Reilly with the outswinging corner. Celtic have scored from a corner already today. It was a Liam Scales header. This one, it was Liam Scales that got a bit of contact on it, dropped in front of him, was being pressured by a Kilmarnock player, wasn't able to get the ball goalwards. Kilmarnock getting the ball away.
Keogh goes out there and he's clearly not fit. He's just strolling around.
I don't think he's got to push himself now, Hugh. He knows the game's finished. He's the clock at Celtic Park. I'm not thinking that.
Yeah, I mean there's a huge screen that's got the time on it. Yeah,
all right. I can't. It's that long since I've been there. I can't remember. He'll probably be looking up that screen, thinking, "I'll just jog about, finish this game off."
It was an impact one, a knock. It wasn't as such like a thigh.
Yeah, he's looking okay. He's
fine. He just dropped back in almost between the centre backs there to get on the ball, so I don't think he's struggling too much. But so one positive for Celtic, as we see 5 minutes have been added. One positive for Celtic is that with no European football, is that their games are spaced out. In terms of no European qualifiers, I mean their games are spaced out at the moment. Brendan Rodgers has time to let players recover in between games.
Don't get me wrong, I think Brendan Rodgers will delight it if the whistle goes 3-0, good performance, and the most important thing, no injuries. I think he's got to look at that, because yes, the games are spread out and he's got time to go and develop more players in through the door, which I think everybody's expecting. So as long as you don't pick up really a few injuries, then he'll be delighted with this afternoon's performance.
Tweet from Kevin there saying Mikey Johnson can play through the middle, has done it as a teenager. What does this season look like for Mikey Johnson, do you think? Went away, obviously had a good loan spell at West Brom. Do you think Brendan Rodgers will give him a chance this season? He's certainly on the bench today. Is that to do with a lack of numbers, the fact that he hasn't come on? Does that say anything?
24 years old now, Mikey Johnson. You would think that Brendan Rodgers would take a look at him in a competitive context in the 2 games to come against Hibs at some point, for example, and then decide whether it's time for another loan or a permanent deal, or if he sees something that Celtic can utilise in the season. But you cannot talk about the lack of players coming in and then say, it's okay, Mikey Johnson's there. The fans won't buy that.
Callum McGregor with, not quite sure whether that was a shot or whether he was trying to find someone in the box. Matt O'Reilly with the curling effort just over.
Tried to give the goalkeeper
the
eyes there, didn't he? The old, I'm going to curl it in and then go for the other corner. Great run from McGregor as well. Celtic still looking for more goals. Yeah, he's just a bit unlucky there.
Yeah, shaped to go for the far post. Matt O'Reilly went for the near.
Mikey Johnson is a strange one, Hugh, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think the Celtic
really good ability.
Oh yeah, there's no question of that. Obviously, a lot of Celtic fans will say, well, he went to West Brom, he played very well at West Brom, but it's Celtic and he's had chance after chance. But the boy at Celtic, to be fair to him, he's had a lot of injuries. You know, he's not really had a run in the team. I don't know if that's going to be if Celtic get bodies through the door, I think Mikey Johnson might look to go elsewhere for me.
By all means, keep him. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you must get rid of Mikey Johnson. By all means, keep him. But
is there a numbers game that comes into play as well? Dalziel Maeda, not fit enough, would be ahead of Mikey Johnson, and Yang, who's been brought on ahead of Mikey Johnson.
He's not going to be a regular.
And you've got Forrest, you've got Kuhn, you've got Palmer. So I think what Scott talks about, players at that age want to go and play football.
I thought there was going to be more to that point.
No,
it sounded as if you were.
I was short and sharp right to the point.
Right. Here could be another Celtic goal. It's a save by McCrory, but Celtic do get that fourth goal.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it's Anthony Ralston with the follow-up. Kyogo's shot was palmed wide by, well, not wide of the goal, but wide into the box by Robbie McCrory. But Anthony Ralston, a tight angle as well, managed to squeeze it in. And he waves to the crowd as he gets Celtic's fourth of the afternoon.
And Celtic go top of the league, which, again, after one game, people say don't be silly. But it's all about how it looks. And Celtic have played very well. Won 4-0, and they have gone 2 points ahead of Rangers. And in our parochial world, that's all that counts.
Yeah, Kyogo's shot went to Robbie McCrory's left. He palmed it back out into the box, into a wide area. The ball comes out to Anthony Ralston. It then goes through the legs of McCrory and into the back of the net for 4.
94th minute of the game, you've still got your full-backs sprinting to get in the box to get on the end of things. And see, all game today, Celtic have picked up loose balls in Kilmarnock's box, which for any other team coming to Celtic Park in the future, they'll be worried about how they're going to get out, because Celtic's press has been fantastic today.
Icing on the cake, you've got to say.
4-0 prediction
looks
like
well
it has come in.
Well, that is it at Celtic Park. Roger Hanna has the story.
Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. The champions are off and running, Andrew. They clinched last season's title with a 5-0 win over Killian May. They've started the defence with a 4-0 success over Derek McInnes' side in August, and they are top of the Premiership table tonight. Goals by Rio Hatate, Liam Scales, Nicholas Kuhn, and substitute Anthony Ralston saw off Kilmarnock in a one-sided game. The day started with the title flag being unfurled by Lisbon Lion legend Jim Craig. There was a spectacular tifo, there were pitch side banners, and the party atmosphere simply continued after the game kicked off. They almost took the lead in 16 minutes. Brad Lyons hacking the ball off the line after Robbie McCrory got a touch and Kyogo Furuhashi's effort, but a minute later it was 1-0. Lyons dallying in the ball on the edge of the box. Matt O'Reilly stole it off him. It went to Greg Taylor. He fed it inside to Rio Hatate. A touch and a finish from the edge of the box gave McCrory no chance at all. McCrory on his Premiership debut for Killie was at full stretch to deny Kyogo after an O'Reilly pass after 20 minutes. Then in 35 minutes he saved again, this time a double save to deny Kuhn the second effort. He tapped onto the bar and over. But Celtic's second goal came 5 minutes before the break. A routine corner on the left hand side. O'Reilly swung it and up went Scales at the near post. He glanced the header away from McCrory and in off the far post. James Forrest almost made it 3 before the break, and then after the interval Forrest teed up Hatate for a shot that was deflected wide from 20 yards. Scales had a shot cleared off the line by debutant Kilmarnock left back Ollie Bainbridge after 56 minutes, but the third goal came just 3 minutes later. A spectacular solo run and finish by Kuhn. He picked the ball up on the right hand side, he cut inside, he went past a couple of Kilmarnock challenges, and then he hit a shot which deflected off the heel of Lewis Mayo and flew high over McCrory and spun into the net for 3. There was a couple of Kilmarnock chances. Substitute Roddy McKenzie fired wide. Fraser Murray headed wide when he should really have hit the target. But Celtic were pushing and pushing and pushing for the fourth goal. Kyogo couldn't direct the delivery on target. Then he had the ball in the net, only to be denied by the offside flag in 80 minutes. But the fourth goal came in added time at the end. Kyogo again denied by McCrory. The goalkeeper pushing a shot out to the right hand side of the box, but there was a substitute to guide the ball home from a narrow angle for Celtic's 4. They are off and running again. Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0.
Yes, full time at Celtic Park, and now it is over to you. We want to hear your thoughts, Celtic fans. What do you make of your start to the season? A 4-0 win at home to Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock fans, maybe you've got some thoughts of your own. I'm sure you have some thoughts, Rangers and Hearts fans, after that game yesterday. St Mirren fans, a good win for you today over Hibs. Any thoughts? Give us a call, 0141 951 1025. We are here until 7 o'clock.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Gordon Dalziel, Scott Allan and Hugh Keevins here in the Clyde One Super Scoreboard studio. We are here until 7 o'clock and we want to hear from you. 3 big Scottish Premiership games today. Kicked off with a Dundee derby. It was Dundee United 2, Dundee 2. Then a big 3-0 win for St Mirren in Paisley over Hibs. But that was trumped by Celtic, who were 4-0 winners over Kilmarnock at Celtic Park. Give us a call, 0141 951 1025. You can send us a tweet at Clyde SSB. How do you reflect on that 90 minutes we just witnessed, Hugh?
Well, Celtic getting the job done, and at times in spectacular fashion. Symbolically, they go top of the league on day one. That's always a pleasure for managers. Good performances in Reo Hatate and Nicholas Kuhn. The one alarming thing was when Kyogo went down, highlighting the fact that Celtic are short of players. Brendan Rodgers said during the week, we are still short of players, and Kyogo remains the only striker at Celtic Park. And I think that 11 weeks after last season ended, that is something that needs to be addressed, and quickly.
That was exactly the type of performance Brendan Rodgers would have been wanting from his team, Gordon.
You describe that as a good day at the office. 4 goals, excellent performance. I thought a lot of the Celtic players looked very sharp today. They've taken their pre-season form into a league today. Clean sheet as well, which is a bonus. I totally agree with you. I think that there will be other players coming in, but just on the evidence of the day, I look at a different Celtic team from last year. They look that just half a yard sharper for me all over the pitch. Their movement, everything about it. Kilmarnock are a good side, good experienced players, good manager, went there with a game plan. But when Celtic in that sort of form, you've not got much of a chance.
0141 951 1025 on the phones. Let's speak to Paddy, who's a Celtic fan in Newton Mearns. Up first, Paddy. How much did you enjoy that performance today?
I enjoyed it very much. Yeah, it was entirely what I was sort of predicting from the pre-season form. We looked sharp, and it's just already mentioned there. We looked even better than last season, and we've got that kind of continuity thing going at the moment because we've still got the squad intact. And everything's looking great, but these next couple of weeks are going to be fraught. In terms of the transfer window ending, and lots of things can happen. And I was listening to Hugh earlier, and I don't know if he's just forgotten about this transfer window at this time of the season. All the vast majority. But 90% of all the deals involving quality players are more or less done in the last couple of days, even the last couple of minutes. So this surprise, teams, or should I say, clubs are holding back, and players are evaluating their options. This should come as no surprise to anyone, least alone Hugh. It's what players are going to go out, what players are going to come in. We just have to trust that those people that are involved in those negotiations and behind the scenes at Celtic are on the ball. And let's face it, since Brendan Rodgers came in last year, there have been changes. I doubt very much Brendan Rodgers would have come back if there hadn't been. But I think most Celtic supporters understand we are where we are because we're a successful club, we're a successful, well-run club. I remember back in the day, Hugh Keevins used to talk about, you had to speculate to accumulate, and he talked up everything about what the old Rangers done and how Celtic had the biscuit tin mentality. And look what happened to the old Rangers. Look what happened to them. Liquidated. You don't hear Hugh talking so much about the biscuit tin anymore, or this speculate to accumulate, because well, that argument, it doesn't exist anymore. But surely if Celtic have learned some lessons in the past windows, which they would have, and we're in a better position now with some structural changes, I think everything's looking great.
Well, you're making an assumption, Paddy, that all will be well, and that even in the last hours Celtic will get in the players. You don't know that with any certainty at all. I just reserve the right to say I find it strange that 11 weeks after last season ended, that Celtic are actually one player down, that being Adam Ida, on the squad that finished the season by winning the Cup against Rangers. I would also introduce the European dimension to you, Paddy. I do fully understand Celtic's utter domination of the domestic front, with 12 of the last 13 titles won. However, in Europe it is stagnation, a story of stagnation, and Brendan Rodgers has spoken about wanting to go further in Europe. In order to do so, over the remaining days of the transfer window, they will have to get in some very good players. And I can hear in your voice that you're revelling in Celtic's domination of the domestic scene, and that is statistically proven. But there's still room for Celtic to make improvement. A club of their stature shouldn't be stagnating in Europe. They should be trying harder.
Is there just a balance that needs to be struck here in terms of Celtic may well get their business done later in the window? As Paddy says, it quite often happens that players become available later on in the window. Some deals can drag on. Today's performance from Celtic was the type of performance that if they put that in against other domestic sides, they'll feel confident they can win those games. Is it a case of, do people need to be open-minded, wait and see what happens for the rest of the window, rather than needing to demand that deals get done right this second?
I agree with both. I agree with Paddy and I agree with Hugh. And Paddy's right, the fact that sometimes deals take a bit longer. It could be nearer the end of the transfer window. But Hugh's argument, and I think I agree with that as well, in the fact that Brendan Rodgers as a manager likes to prepare for the start of the season, likes to get his players in, he likes to work with them, he likes to make sure they're comfortable in the situation, in the system, what he's looking for, working on the training ground. So if you look over to Brendan Rodgers and you'd ask Brendan Rodgers a question, look, you're going to get your players in later on, quality players, but we can give you them earlier. He would have taken them earlier all day long. Now I totally understand Celtic's situation, because they've got targets there probably of, and Brendan Rodgers has come out and said it, of high quality. Sometimes that takes a bit of time. There's a lot of parties involved now in transfers. You're not just talking about pitching up at a club saying we want to sign you, there you go, we've agreed with a club. You've got agents, you've got third parties, you've got different things that you've got to deal with, and sometimes it takes a bit longer, and it takes a bit of frustration, especially from a manager, because a manager wants his players in. There's no doubt he wants his players in early. And you look at today, Celtic were excellent today, right? And you're thinking, well, we're not really in a hurry to get players. But Hugh touched on it. One accidental injury to Kyogo and Celtic are left without centre forward.
Yeah, there is that balance as well, in terms of sometimes you leave it late in the window, Scott, but with the European games coming round and maybe the players are being brought in with a view to that, Brendan Rodgers will want to make sure they're in time to be up to speed by the middle of September for those games.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest gripe with the supporters. It's all based towards how Celtic do in Europe. That has been, like Hugh touched on, they've stagnated in recent years. They've seen Rangers, for instance, do well in European situations, which they want to see for their team. So I think on the flip side of that, when you're coming to getting a better quality player, they do take longer. The clubs you're dealing with, like Gordon said as well, about talk about the players' wages. There's so many factors that make up for a transfer. So I think it's a case of being patient. Yes, we do want these players in, that's a no-brainer. But unfortunately, the football world doesn't work like that these days.
What impressed you most today, Paddy?
I think that the energy of the side, the movement off the ball, it just looked so comfortable and confident, and just the all round feeling. Even the players doing that Dalziel dance thing.
Is that trademark now for Gordon DL? You've got your own.
That's my dance. Yeah. I wish it was. I agree with Paddy. I think Celtic looked very sharp. Their movement was terrific. They had a lot of positives. A clean sheet as well. Schmeichel hardly touched the ball. They controlled that game. You said earlier, Andrew, about you can't control games for 90 minutes. Celtic probably controlled that game for 90 odd % of it. The possession they had, and it was the way they moved the ball. And I thought today, especially, if I could pick up one player, Hatate, I thought was different class.
Well, thank you to Paddy. You can be up next. 01419511025. Stevie from Bishop Briggs is on the line. We'll bring him in next.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Into the final part of today's Clyde One Super Scoreboard. It's been a busy day in the Scottish Premiership. A 2-2 draw in the Dundee Derby, a 3-0 win for St Mirren against Hibs, and then Celtic with a 4-0 win over Kilmarnock. Stevie is a Celtic fan in Bishop Briggs who's been hanging on the line. Stevie, how are you?
Very good evening to you, lads. I'm very well. Well, here we go, starting another cracker of a season already. Rangers drawing yesterday, Celtic winning today. It's only the start of it. And my main point is, and Hugh hit the nail on the head as I was driving to my work, and I've just pulled over to make a point, but Hugh hit the nail on the head. What I don't understand about Celtic Football Club, Celtic Football Club has got a lot of money. They've known from last season that they need a striker. So why was that not their priority this window, to go out and buy a striker? Kyogo gets injured, a bad injury, or any kind of injury this season, the 3 points Celtic were picking up winning a game, that could turn out to be 1 point. And then they start looking and saying, wait a minute here, we might end up losing this season. All because they didn't spend money to buy a top-class striker. And I'm a great believer, you've got to spend money, Hugh, to make money. So
are you not confident, Stevie, that Adam Ida's going to be coming in the door?
Don't think Stevie heard that.
Stevie, you're not confident that Adam Ida's going to be coming in the door soon?
No, I'm not confident on it. I'm not confident on that. No, I'm not. I still think Celtic should have went out and bought themselves a striker. They can't keep running the way they are running at the minute. I told you, and I'm being honest with you, and we'll see what happens halfway through the season. Kyogo gets injured and Celtic start dropping points. All of a sudden the Celtic supporters will be like, oh, wait a minute here, we could end up losing this league. Well, that's all because Celtic didn't spend money to make money winning the league.
I fully understand, Stevie, that there are 4 weeks left in the transfer window. I also appreciate that the transfer market is a complex business, and I do know that Celtic have signed some terrific players at the 11th hour in the transfer window. I accept all of that. What I'm also asking others to accept is that 11 weeks after the season ended, Celtic still have no new outfield players at the club.
Specifically on the case of the strikers, though, which is what Stevie is talking about, and we mentioned it earlier on, is it maybe just a case of Adam Ida's Celtic's number one target for that position? They think they can still get him. Why would they then go out and try and get someone else when they think that's a realistic option? Yes, it's dragging on. Yes, it's not ideal. But if Celtic can get him in before the end of the transfer window, then they'll have got the target they're looking for.
Ideally, Adam Ida would have been in America with Celtic. Ideally, Adam Ida would have been at Celtic today, either on the bench or on from the start. I do understand that you don't get held hostage, you don't abandon your principles, you don't pay funny money, but I do not think, from my personal perspective, that it has been accelerated to the degree it should have been accelerated by. They made a bid on the 4th of July. We're now in the 4th of August. What takes so long?
I think he'd have been in the building within the next week or two. And I think they're quite right to wait. if that's their number one target. And the reason I'm saying that is Brendan Rodgers knows what he's getting, Weeda. He's already came to Celtic. He's adored by the fans. He gets a win in the cup final. He's scored important goals. So Brendan Rodgers knows what he's getting. Now, he could easily, like Stevie says, and I can totally understand where he's come from, say, do you know what, we're going out to buy another centre forward, bring him in, and he doesn't hit the ground running. He doesn't get used to Scottish football or the way Celtic or whatever the club is or how big the club is. Adam Idah probably is their number one target. I think they feel very confident in getting him in. I know that ideally they need to get him in quickly. I think that will be done.
Adam Idah then brings you up to the same level of strength that you had on the 25th of May when the cup was won. Therefore, nothing else has happened apart from the signing of Schmeichel and Sinisalo, which balances up the situation whereby Joe Hart retires and Siegrist goes. So you've lost 2 goalkeepers, brought 2 in. The goalkeeping situation is absolutely fine. However, Idah only brings you back up to the strength that you had on the 25th of May. And the other point I'd make about this is that in 4 weeks remaining in the transfer window, you're going to have to sign players. The previous 11 weeks, you sign none. So, no outfield players. So you'll have to move yourself quite quickly.
Stevie, should Celtic have moved on to a different striking target by now, then, do you feel?
Yes, I do feel they should have. I feel they should have had another striker in at Celtic Park before now. As Hugh's rightly said, it's 11 weeks, now in the last 4 weeks. Why is it Celtic always wait to the last minute? They've known from last season that they need another striker. So that should have been their top priority at this window. No, okay, they've done the deal with goalkeepers, etc. Fair enough. But they know they need another striker. I'm only going to be honest here. It's the first game of the season. And let's be serious here. Kyogo gets injured next week or in 2 weeks' time. You wait and see what's going to happen then. There'll be an absolute outcry for Celtic supporters, and God knows what Celtic will come out and hit us with. But they definitely need a striker because Kyogo can't carry Celtic for the season to win the league again.
Well, thank you to Stevie. Let's speak to Patrick, who's a Celtic fan in Los Angeles. Patrick, you feeling any more positive?
Yeah, I thought it was a great display today. Wasn't disappointed because I'd went to the game last week at Notre Dame and Celtic were fantastic. They showed a lot of quality as they did today. Obviously Brendan Rodgers, I'm really happy that he's on board, and I think I've got a lot of confidence in Brendan that he'll do what he has to do, for Europe, and he just needs time. Basically, Celtic's winning on the field, no doubt about that. They're going to win more games this season in the cups and the leagues. Winning's going to be their mentality. They'll continue to do that, and they're winning off the field as well. They're the best run club in Scotland, so I have every confidence in Celtic, the board, and in Brendan Rodgers, and especially the players. I think this young boy Kuhn is going to be fantastic this year, and then I've got Bernardo. They just brought in again. I think he's going to be good, and I also like this young boy Home. I think he showed up really well over in the States, and I think he'll be fantastic. So, very happy.
Yeah, Nicholas Kuhn, one of the players that Patrick mentions there, is he a player that really showed the glimpses of why Celtic brought him in January?
Yeah, we've touched on it before. Coming in January to a new club, especially an environment like Celtic, living in Glasgow and all that goes with it, it isn't easy to just put a top on, go out and start hitting the ground running. I think it's took a bit of time with him. He's got his pre-season under his belt. He's built a bit of confidence. Brendan Rodgers has probably got his ideas into him in terms of what he's looking for in terms of numbers this season, and he's done really well pre-season, and he gets a goal today, albeit by a deflection, but he was positive all game. He looked a constant threat. He's got pace, assists. I really like him. I think I agree. I think he's going to have a huge season.
Patrick, does this Celtic team, the way they're set up, the way they're moving the ball, does that look different to you this season than it was last season?
I think they've definitely improved since last season. The games they played over here, they were moving the ball really fast, and I think that's the way Brendan Rodgers had us playing like when he was here before. So I think it's just a matter of time, and I think I'm very confident in the wings, especially we've got great strength in the wings. The young Korean boy come on, Kwang or whatever, he's our fifth more or less winger. So I think Palma and Forrest are good, but we've got Kuna and Maeda will be the two guys to go with. Obviously, I'm hoping that we get Aidan from Norwich, because I think we definitely need him. But I'd be happy with that, and maybe for Europe if we can get. I don't know what's happening with the two centre backs that's been injured, Moraki and Lagerbielke, but if they're not going to be there, we need to probably have somebody there at left back or cover at left back and left centre back. Although I did watch that Japanese guy that came in, and he had a couple of good games when he was over here coming in. Their pre-season games. So
who's that, Patrick?
I'm very confident. I think we'll do it. The Japanese boy that came in, I forget his name. It wasn't Iwata, fair-haired boy, and he played left back, and then he went in. I think it was against Man City, and then he went in. He played left centre back, and he looked very, like the Japanese players, technically very good. And I think he's somebody that he wasn't on the bench today, so I don't know all the injuries or whatever, but. Going forward, I'm confident, but in Europe, I think probably need a little bit of help, centre half or left back. So,
yeah, Patrick, very, very confident. I think a lot of Celtic fans will be sharing that just after what they've seen over the last few games. But it was important for Celtic to go out and show it in a competitive game after the matches against Manchester City and Chelsea, where they were sharp.
On the first working day of the season for Celtic, they are top of the league, which is where they were on the 38th working day of last season. 4 in a row, let me state, should be a virtual impossibility for Celtic not to achieve. They should be the champions by a distance, while Rangers work themselves out. And what you have to take into account then is how badly do they want to progress in the Champions League, and how badly do they want to bring in players of a standard necessary to progress Celtic at Champions League level. But for anybody else to win the league other than Celtic this season should be an impossibility.
Yeah, is that the type of performance after drawing at Tynecastle yesterday, Gordon Dalziel, that Rangers fans maybe didn't want to see from Celtic?
I think that look, opening games this season, especially away to Tynecastle for Rangers yesterday, it's not a disaster. It might be a bit disappointing, but if you're a Rangers fan and you're looking at Celtic today, they looked really sharp. They looked different today. They looked up for it. They took their pre-season form into that league game, and it could have been a lot more comfortable. But it's a long season, but you've got to say, if you're a Celtic fan, you're fully confident.
Very quickly, Hugh, how do you sum it all up with one Premiership game to go this weekend?
Celtic on top of the league. The rest should be worried.
Well, thank you to Patrick, who was last on the line. Thank you to all you out there listening, tweeting, phoning in. Thank you to Gordon Dalziel, Scott Allan, and to Hugh Keevins in the studio. Gordon Duncan is back tomorrow from 6 o'clock, and we will do it all over again for another week. There's European action on Tuesday, there's European action on Thursday, and then next weekend, of course, some big Premiership games. But stick around, because it is Gary Spence up next on the Sunday Takeover.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Volvo. Book a test drive for the Volvo EX30 today. Head online for details.
Meet Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant, helping you add even more value to clients.
Copilot, create a 6-month forecast to share with my client.
So, if you're an accountant like Charlotte, it could mean spending more time on what matters most, like more face-to-face meetings with clients.
Latte for you, Americano for me.
Ah, lovely.
Accountants could save 3 days a month on admin. Search Sage Copilot to get early access today. Sage, helping business flow.
Meal times or medal times, we all bring something different to the table. The hit of the pan, the whir of the spokes. Diving or dipping with backflips or nat chips. Cleaning plates or, well, cleaning plates. Whether it's medal-worthy fajitas or triumphant tacos, whatever you're making, make some noise for your home team. Old El Paso, proud partner of Team GB.